Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Draft day. Let's go right now.
Matt Miller, Bleacher Report, NFL draft expert. Who will make a trade in the first round?
I think we're going to see a lot of trades this year because these GMs have been sitting at home trying to avoid their wives and kids.
Daddy?
Go read a book.
Daddy?
Play in your room.
But Daddy...
Talk to your mother.
Nothing to do but get on the phone with each other.
The Dan Patrick Show brings you the best guests in sports talk daily.
We're talking to Adam Schefter, of course, the great insider. How do you sort out exactly what is going on with Tua and his camp?
During the process, almost everybody outside the number one overall pick will have his stock down at some point in time, no matter how good he is. It's the moment of the truth, and everybody's got to put their cards on the table. We're taking this guy.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave,
And there's no hiding it.
this is Dan Patrick.
Hour one on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. And tonight, the NFL Draft. Yes, round one. It'll be fun. It'll be different. Might be the highest rated draft of all time. What else are we going to watch? You have to give the NFL credit for turning the draft into a big party. Chicago, Philadelphia, Nashville, huge crowds. We were going to have Vegas. That was going to be a great party. Now you have a virtual party. I've never attended a virtual party before. I've heard about those, but we get one tonight. And, you know, if you look at Sunday with ESPN and The Last Dance about the Bulls in 1990, 6 million people tuned in. Draft's going to have bigger ratings than that because it is football, and that is the sport, and there's nothing else on. When the NFL announced it was not going to delay the draft, I think people had a lot of questions. There were concerns about safety. There were concerns about the technology side of this. It's different than a live sporting event from a safety standpoint, but it is okay to be happy about having a draft tonight. For football fans, the draft is always Christmas in April, so we got a feel-good holiday, and maybe more so than ever coming up tonight. Paulie and I were just talking about the draft and the information, and sometimes you feel like the more information you hear, the less you know. And I feel like I know less now than I did probably a month ago. Because, and it's fun, but you're kind of going, okay. You remember that game where the things pop up and you take the hammer and you bang them down? Is that whack-a-mole?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I feel like this is. It's just like something pops up, whack it down. Something pops up, whack it down. Hey, did you hear that the Dolphins are going to trade for Joe Burrow? Hey, maybe Chase Young doesn't go number 2. You know, I'm here, and the Redskins could take Tua. You know, Tua could go 3 or 23. Justin Herbert could go here, he could go there. Oh, the offensive tackles. There's so many wide receivers. You start to hear all of this, and then you go, I don't know if I know anything right now. And then I was, corresponding with Chris Sims last night. And Chris Sims, the former NFL quarterback, he works for Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio. And I said, hey, I hear you're down on Tua. And he sends me a text. He says, yo, DP, great to hear from you. Tua's good, but not what everyone makes him out to be. They're giving him credit for the Alabama machine, saying he's the reason. Again, he's good, but he's not top 10 good. No way, in my opinion, even without injury concerns. Chris Sims then goes on to say, Bama's offense looked good, still rolled with him not in there. They didn't hurt for points. They scored a lot of points versus Auburn and Michigan. Burrow and Herbert in another class in my assessment. Hope all is well. And then he follows up. All people have been fed for a year is Tua, Tua, Tua. If Herbert were at Alabama, they would have been unstoppable. Once again, I have no idea. Here's Chris Sims, who I trust. By the way, Chris Sims was in the minority saying that he loved Lamar Jackson over all the other quarterbacks when they were coming out. He also said, get rid of Blake Bortles. In fact, he's been pretty rough on Blake Bortles. But, I trust Chris Sims. He does this for a living. And I was starting to buy into, let's take a chance on Tua. If I'm the Dolphins, I don't want to stretch myself here. I don't want to make a move to make a move. I don't want to take a quarterback to take a quarterback. If you think Tua is great, then take him. because he's not for everybody. 3 teams reportedly don't even have him on their draft board because of the medical concerns. I get it. But don't take Justin Herbert just because you don't think Tua is going to be great. Take the guy who fits your system. Take the guy you feel like you can ride with for the next 4 or 5 years. Because that's what you're doing. You're signing up. And if you're going to take a guy that high, you got to make sure he fits with what you want. The Giants went with Daniel Jones. Could they have got him later? Yes, I believe so. But did he fit with what the style that they want to play? Yes, so far he has. Kyler Murray going to Arizona. You bring in a unsuccessful college head coach to run your team, but in the system with Kyler Murray, it has worked so far. Baker Mayfield worked first year, didn't work last year. Better work this year. You got to get that quarterback who fits the style that you want to play. When it comes to, Justin Herbert or Tua or Jordan Love, Joe Burrow, Chris Sims compared him to, Peyton Manning. Like he's a Peyton Manning type. I can see that. I can see the build, maybe not great arm strength, but that ability to do the other things, the intangibles. Okay. We're heaping praise on these kids. Keep in mind, what have we said about Tua? It reminds me of Drew Brees. Drew Brees is thrown for 70,000 yards in the NFL. Would he remind you of Drew Brees because he's what? 6 feet tall and there's injury concerns? Because Drew Brees doesn't have a strong arm. Drew Brees is not a guy who extends a play. Drew Brees doesn't take on defenders. Tua, to a fault, does that. He doesn't give up. His coach yesterday, Nick Saban, said, that's one of his faults. He's always trying to make a play. In the NFL, you take your losses. Look at what Brady and Peyton Manning would do. If there's a defensive lineman coming after them, they go in the fetal position. Like they're fine with that. There's no extra points for toughness. Although RG3 learned that the hard way. Take your losses. Fall down. Get back up. It's okay. You don't have to be a tough guy here. But Tua is a guy who tries to extend plays, make a play. You can't do that in the NFL. And that would be a concern. Is he going to have arthritis in that hip? You're talking to, a walking, talking game of operation right here in myself and all the arthritis that I have in all my surgeries. And I'm just trying to host a damn radio show. He's going to have concerns the rest of his career, the rest of his life, because of those surgeries. He is. You take him. If I'm the Chargers, you roll the dice. If you're the Dolphins, do you roll the dice? Now I'm hearing somebody finally is falling in love with Chase Young, aside from the Redskins. I kept saying, okay, here's a question I have for you. If you can have Tua, and he's an all-pro quarterback for 2 years, or I can give you Chase Young, and he's an all-pro for 10 years, who you take? It's a no-brainer. Chase Young, if he is as good as advertised, he's going to give you at least 10 sacks a year. He plays an important position, and I don't have to worry about that side of the field. I don't know about Tua, and I don't know about Justin Herbert. I just don't know. Jordan Love, I don't know. Chase Young, I know. But it feels like these teams are going to go, hey, we need a tackle. We need a defensive back. Is Chase Young a Hall of Famer? Are we going to look back in 10 years and go, man, remember that guy, Dan Patrick? He kept saying, why aren't people going all in after Chase Young? If Chase Young is anywhere near what the Bosas are, and you could make a case, if the Niners had won the Super Bowl, Bosa was going to be the MVP. If he's in that class, then why aren't teams interested? And maybe they are. Maybe they've been holding their cards. And maybe the Falcons are going to go up and get him. But I still look at him and say, I can plug him in, and it feels like my defense got a whole lot better. I don't know about Tua. I don't know if he plays this year. I don't know if Justin Herbert plays this year. We want to get on that rookie quarterback contract. I understand that. But you got to be smart with what you're taking, who you're taking, when you're taking. And that's where these GMs always, it seems like, put themselves in a bad situation. This program brought to you by LegalZoom. They made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan at LegalZoom. Say good morning to our radio and TV partners. You can watch the program on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Fox Sports Radio lineup, numbering 362 radio affiliates around the country. Giants running back Saquon Barkley in a few minutes. We will talk to Chase Young next hour. Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network will be working the draft tonight. He will give us his final mock draft. We'll hear from Gronk, who talks about his comeback here. Baseball gets around to slapping the Red Sox on the wrist. It wasn't even a spanking. It was a slap. So we'll delve into that a little bit later on. Yes, Paulie?
So you said, which would you rather have, a really good quarterback or a great defensive end rush linebacker?
Yep, 10-time All-Pro.
So let's say I went back in history, and you can go back to the 2011 draft. If you were the Carolina Panthers, would you still take Cam Newton, or would you take Von Miller or J.J. Watt? If you can redo it now, knowing what you know if you're the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton's had a hell of a nice career. It's not finishing that well, obviously. But you got 8 really good years out of him. If you could go back and you're the Carolina Panthers, do you go to Von Miller, J.J. Watt, or stick with Cam Newton?
Well, Cam got you to a Super Bowl, and he was a special player. He's an MVP. That's different than, Vince Young went to the Pro Bowl twice.
I guess what I'm saying is that's what the high end for Tua would be, a Cam Newton type career.
But I didn't have concerns about Cam the way I do Tua. Cam is 6'5", and he was rushed for 60 touchdowns. I have concerns about Tua with his size. I also have, issues obviously with the injuries. There's a lot more questions attached to Tua. Yes, McLovin.
But all the tall guys are the ones who get hurt. Cam, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz. It's not the short guys. The short guys have been okay, actually.
Well, I will say this with Andrew Luck, and I shouted from the treetops, you invest $100 million in your quarterback and you invest 50 cents in your offensive line. That, to me, is pretty idiotic. So maybe that's why Andrew Luck might have gotten hurt. Felt like when he had a good offensive line, he played pretty well. Yes, McLovin.
But all those big quarterbacks take on contact. Carson Wentz still does it, like every game.
Well, the way he plays, I have a problem with. But
Luck was just as bad.
Yes, I have a problem with that. I do. Cam invited contact. Ben invites contact. At that position, you're going to get hit. But you got to be smart. But when you put yourself out there, be smart. Don't take on a defender. And these guys sometimes feel like you get, points for toughness, and you don't. But Andrew Luck, if he was better protected, would still be playing. If Carson Wentz didn't act like he was at North Dakota State taking on, some small defensive back, we wouldn't be talking about his injury issues. What he did against the Rams, slide. Simple, smart. And Cam, that's how Cam plays. Now, you're not going to change him. And I would have taken that if I'm Carolina and I got that Cam Newton for that amount of time, I would take him over J.J. Watt and Von Miller. I would, because I think he was a difference maker and he got them to a Super Bowl. Granted, it was Von Miller who ruined his evening that night in the Super Bowl. But yes, McLovin.
Can you say some positive things about Tua? What's the positive case? Because it felt pretty negative there for a minute. I know you like him too.
Well, that's Chris Sims. That's Chris Sims' opinion. This isn't what I do for a living. I gather the information, but these are guys who break down tape. I'm not breaking down tape. What I'm doing is asking the people who will be breaking down tape or making these decisions. And, the two sources I've spoken to this entire offseason about these draft picks, potential draft picks, these quarterbacks, they're giving me something that's unfiltered. It just, here it is. Use it if you want to. You don't, obviously we don't want to be attached to it, but we do this because we watch the show. Okay. But I don't have anything against Tua. What did I say when we met him in person?
Loved him.
Loved him. I'd love for him to be the face of my franchise. But I'm a businessman. I can't let my emotions get involved in this. I have to look at this and go, I love him, but, and that's a big concern. He's not a big kid. Kyler Murray, it might be, him and Lamar Jackson are two of the fastest guys in the NFL. And even then they ran for their lives last year. So now I'm going to put Tua in there, who's nowhere near their athleticism. Nowhere near. And you're going to say he's going to be Drew Brees? Okay, so he's going to stay in the pocket. Great. Throws the ball really well. Great. What happens when he gets in his own way and tries to extend a play? right? Not a big guy. You know he's got the ankle issues. You know he's got the hip issue. It just feels like that's disaster waiting to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, McLovin.
One other criticism of Tua is he had great receivers, but Joe Burrow has insane receivers. Jamar Chase might be a top 3 pick next year, and Justin Jefferson's really hot. So why is that argument valid for one QB and not the other?
I brought it up. Absolutely. I said the same thing. Wait, Joe Burrow gets credit for the greatest college football season of all time, but doesn't get any blame for the previous season where he was just sort of average. And I know, they brought in Joe Brady. They changed the offense. They opened it up. But, yeah, I've criticized that portion of Joe Burrow. But Tua is not the Alabama machine. Is he a wonderful player there? Absolutely. Did he have great talent? He's got 2 wide receivers and an offensive lineman who are going to go probably in the top 15, maybe top 20 at the latest. That's pretty impressive there. So he did have talent. So did Joe Burrow. If I put Justin Herbert on Alabama different? Better? What if I put Jordan Love there and if Tua was at Utah State, would we be talking about Tua Tagovailoa the way we have? And the answer is no, we would not. We saw him in the big stage. He came in for Jalen Hurts, and we all of a sudden said, oh, my God. He's that good that he replaced the starting quarterback in the national title game. We all fell in love with the story. Oh, you got a tank for Tua. If Tua played at Utah State and Jordan Love played at Alabama, would we be fawning all over Jordan Love? And the answer is yes, we probably would be. All right, we'll come up with a poll question here. Tom in Ohio joins us. Saquon Barkley will stop by in a moment. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Dan. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Tom.
Good. 5'11", 175. I've always heard you talk about teams and owners and coaches falling in love with players. I think I have a inside scoop for you. I got a friend of a friend who knows Jimmy Haslam well.
Yeah.
And Daniel Snyder and Jimmy Haslam, I know they're not general managers, but they've been talking very seriously about the love affair that Daniel Snyder has with Odell Beckham Jr., and Jimmy Haslam has that same type love for Chase Young, and they're within 1 draft pick of making that move.
All right. Tom in Ohio is saying the Browns and the Redskins are close to pulling off a trade. And this is sources close to a source that's close to your source. Is that what you're saying, Tom?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Call back in tomorrow. You can take a victory lap if that happens later on today or tonight, Tom.
Do I get a drum roll too?
Drum roll? If you hit it, hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you on the show, and I'm gonna give you I'll make you a Danette for a day. If it comes through, I will make you, once we're out of the quarantine, and you pick the Danette you want to replace. They're all replaceable, but you pick the Danette you want to replace. You're a Danette for a day if the Redskins and Browns pull off a deal, sending Chase Young, the number 2 pick, to the Browns with Odell Beckham involved in this as well.
Fantastic, but the only Danette that you have that's not replaceable is Fritzy, and you know that. You can't do the show without him.
Oh, let's try. Thank you, Tom. That's Tom in Ohio with a scoop. You should let Glazer know. You should let Ian Rappaport know. Schefter. Yeah, Paulie.
Inside Tommy may have a point because Washington is notorious for passing on good players and trading for headaches that are expensive.
Oh, would that be great if that happened? Yes, McLovin.
I so hope that guy is right. How great would that be?
Tom in Ohio. We'll keep an eye on that, Tom. He'll get breaking news drum roll. Absolutely. Make him a Danette for a day. All right, Saquon Barkley will join us coming up. There's talk that the Giants are now willing to trade. Once again, I don't know if any of this matters. It's fun to talk about, and I do have 3 hours to fill. But I try to give you some pertinent information you could take into tonight's draft. But, yeah, I know. I'm trying. 20 after the hour, we will hear from Chase Young. Maybe we'll break the news to Chase that he is going to stay in Ohio. He's just going up north to play for the Cleveland Browns. So then they would have Myles Garrett and Chase Young. Wow. That'd be scary, right, McLovin?
I actually like it. I mean, Tom in Ohio. Did he say a neighbor? I don't even know how he got this.
It's somebody who knows Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns. I don't know. I don't know who his source is. He wasn't going to tell me. Not sure. And, you don't have to reveal your sources. 20 after the hour. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Had the Traeger fired up yesterday. It's so simple. You just go out, you set it, you forget it. And, during these times with, the COVID-19, nobody can come over. But, I have a neighbor behind me. So when the wind blows, then, John is always going, what are you making? And I quarantine, John, can't come over. But he always wants to know what I'm having. Yes, Eaton.
I just got a big delivery of wings, actually. So I think, I don't know if I'm going to do them tomorrow or this weekend, but they're kind of like, they're the wings that are still attached. You know what I mean?
Oh, like the full
like
setup.
a full
wingspan.
A full wingspan there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty stoked about that.
We're having wings tomorrow on the Traeger. I just ordered that. You can follow suit. They have all these recipes. There's so many great things from April 17th until the 26th. Get a Traeger Grill. You get grill cover, 2 bags of pellets for free. That's a savings of about $120. Go to TraegerGrills.com/DP show or a participating dealer to get yours today. This is your draft profile. We had a hard time finding negative things here. But I want you to read your draft. These are actual comments made about Saquon Barkley.
Plays with inconsistent leg drive through contact with working between the tackles.
What does that mean?
That when you get tackled, I guess my legs don't continue to churn. So basically they say I get tackled easy.
If any of this is accurate, you can say.
Oh yeah, I'm big on being a self-critic. I feel like if you want to involve your game, and I always say I want to be one of the best to play, I got to be my own critic. And
harshest critic.
Exactly. So this don't bother me.
Okay.
Do I agree with that? No, not that part. We'll need to develop a more north-south mindset as a pro. I agree with that, 100%. Gets too cute with stutter steps and jukes on the first level, allowing help to flow to the ball. That's an interesting.
Do you float a little bit?
It depends. What are you looking for? Like at the first level, sometimes it worked for like a Le'Veon Bell, but a Derrick Henry, that's not his type. But for me, I don't view myself as just a one-dimensional type of back. So I feel like I can do a little bit of both of that.
Okay.
So it depends on the type of run, type of scheme it has. Is it a power scheme? Is it a gap scheme? Is it a zone scheme? Has bout with focus, drops as a pass catcher, and his catch radius is limited. I had 91 catches my rookie year. This is something I would agree on 100%, and this is, like I said, be a self-critic. Inconsistent at take-on blocks and pass pro. Pass pro is something that
you might want to use that Old Spice. I think you're starting to get a little fired up here.
Exactly right. That's something that I agree with 100%. I got to be more consistent at a pass blocker. A lot of teams, last year I called a lot of passes. A lot of teams will blitz a running back or blitz like a Christian McCaffrey and those type of guys to either keep them in and to get them to take away space for them catching the ball in space. So that's a lot of things teams would do. And they're not even like going for the quarterback. Most of the time they're just trying to get a lick on you. Isn't a wrecking ball at all. Can be taken down by the ankles. I mean, have I been ankle tackled before?
We just point these things. These are just said. It's not us.
Everyone's been ankle tackled before. My first year, I broke the most tackles. I missed a couple games this year, and I'm pretty sure I probably was in.
Now this is coming into the
10.
NFL, just so you know.
I know.
Just coming into the NFL.
Yeah,
I've ruined your day here.
No, that don't make sense because I mean, I'm not too big on this, but like I guess PFF or whatever it's called, like
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, whatever it's called. My last year in college, I broke the most tackles, so like that don't make sense.
And the final one
doesn't run like a 233-pound back. We're not talking Leonard Fournette or Adrian Peterson as an inside runner. I don't run like a 230-pound back. I think that's what makes me unique. I think that's why you can see similarities to a Barry Sanders or a Shady, but when need be, if it's that short down distance or I need to find a way to get that yard, I can run like a 230-pound back. So, yeah, I love seeing stuff like this.
Drew Brees and J.J. Watt kept it.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna keep it too.
All right. Play of the day, stat of the day, poll question, all of that coming up. Saquon Barkley, the Giants running back, will join us as well. McLevin, what kind of poll question do you have for me today?
Okay, I actually put up, would you rather have a 10-time Pro Bowler in Chase Young or a 2-time Pro Bowler in Tua, just to see what people say. You actually convinced me hard on Chase Young, so I don't know if that's fair. But these are more questions for you as well as poll questions. Starting with, who goes number 3? Do you have any idea? Jeff Okudah,
No.
Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, Justin Herbert, other. Is there any kind of consensus that makes sense?
Feels like if the Lions stay at 3, they take the defensive back out of Ohio State, Jeff Okudah. If somebody jumps up, are they jumping up to take a tackle? I don't know if there's a consensus great tackle in this draft. Plus, we've seen some of these teams who have used a high draft pick on a tackle in recent years, they've been bust. Now, you've had some that have been successful, but you would expect that. But that's one of those safe picks, like you get a tackle. Like he's supposed to be part of the foundation of your line for, 10 years. But, McLevin, there's been quite a few of these tackles taken that have turned out to be, bust.
Well, if you pointed out guys who come out of spread who play tackle, like Luke Jokel, Texas A&M, Eric Fisher, you don't know. But there's been good ones like Ronnie Stanley in Baltimore, I believe, Jack Conklin, Mike McGlinchey. Last year, Jonah Williams out of Alabama went to the Bengals and did not play. But it's been a little dicey. Guards been better. You loved Quentin Nelson.
Oh.
That was the one guy that everybody was all over.
Yeah, when, we're leading up to the draft, and then, I talked to a source, and he goes, the nastiest guy, the best player in this draft. And then, he's telling me this offensive lineman out of Notre Dame, and I go, well, why aren't teams taking Quentin Nelson? They go, because he's a guard. I said, you're going to plug him in for 10 years? Quentin Nelson could be a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't. When teams go, I'm going to take a guy here or not take a guy here. You can't take a tackle number 1. Like, it's just the whole philosophies are crazy. Yes, McLevin.
So who's this year's Quentin Nelson for you? Is that Chase Young as the guy who seems like really the safest potential big star?
Chase Young's got more momentum, than Quentin Nelson does. This was just the scouts who looked at Quentin Nelson and said, that guy's nasty, man. He's great. Chase Young, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Let's bring in Saquon Barkley, who joins us on loan from the New York Giants. Saquon, good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Where are you right now?
I am in New Jersey, in my home in New Jersey right now.
Do you have a backyard to work out in?
I have a backyard, have a gym set up downstairs. I've been trying to stay in shape.
And then is somebody there to help work you out? Like, what do you do to stay in shape? What would you normally be doing, and can you do that at home?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate enough to be able to do exactly what I would be doing, which would be going to the facility and working out and doing a workout there. The only thing I can't do is go to the facility. I have a lot of equipment downstairs in my basement for me to be able to do the workouts. And my teammate Grant Haley, me and him kind of just been going through my trainer's workout from Nike, and also the workouts the Giants sent us.
Do you know what the Giants are going to do with their pick in the first round?
No, you know this as much as I know, man.
Wait, this could be an offensive tackle. You have to know more than I do, Saquon.
The way I look at it is, I just try to come to work every single day, now, which is virtually, and just try to prepare myself as best as I can. And I just want a teammate who's going to come in and kind of have the same mindset, who's ready to work and want to help the team in games.
Yeah, but okay, let me make you the GM just for the moment. Who would you like to bring in? Like, what position would you like to have?
I guess I could be completely honest, and I'm not just. If I was a GM, obviously you go for your team needs.
You need line help. You need a tackle. Yeah, right.
I would say we need a lot of positions to help us win games. It's not there's only one position that's going to help us turn around. It's going to be a whole drive, and I know the DG and all them guys put a lot of work in, and the decisions that they do make are going to be the right decisions.
Oh, you're saying all the right things. They don't need a quarterback and they don't need a running back with the Giants, but they could use some help elsewhere. What did you think when you saw Christian McCaffrey get paid?
I was happy. And I know people think happy for myself, but no, I have a good relationship with Christian. He's a heck of a player. Respect a lot of him. 1,000 yards on rushing, 1,000 yards receiving, the third player to ever do that. So for him to become the highest paid running back, is truly amazing, and I'm truly excited for him.
Yeah, but you're also saying that's where my negotiations start, right?
No, not really, because, this is how I just operate with a lot of things, whether it's negotiations, contract, money, awards, anything. I'm a big believer you got to take care of the little things first. So if I come to work every single day, I try to be the best teammate I can be, and the best football player and the best version of myself. And take care of the little stuff. All the big things going to take care of itself.
Yeah, well, once again, once you're negotiating your contract, you're going to say, let's start with what Christian is making, and then we'll add on to that. That's what I'm going to guess. I can handle this for you if you want me to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It'll be good cop, bad cop. You'll be the good cop. Everybody loves you. Great personality. Good teammate. I'll be the bad guy, and I'll go in there and say, we start at that number. We start where Christian McCaffrey left off. And then, the S in Saquon is going to be a dollar sign when I'm done with it. What do you think?
I appreciate that, but I think I got a great team in place right now.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. When did you know? Okay, that's all I do is give, Saquon. When did you know the Giants were going to take you with that number 2 overall pick?
The Cleveland Browns said, Roger Goodell went up there and said the Cleveland Browns would select Baker Mayfield. And it's been a couple seconds.
That's when you knew?
Remember. Yep.
Wow. I would have thought that they told you prior to that. Were they concerned you couldn't keep a secret or something?
No. To be completely honest, I was still within the works of being the number 1 draft pick. I know the conversations between Baker, Sam, myself. I was waiting my phone there. I didn't know if it was going to be Cleveland, if it was going to be New York, or who it was going to be. So me and my family were kind of just waiting there for the phone to ring and for that opportunity to come. And when my family and myself saw the phone ring and saw the jersey number, and to be able to come back to where I was born and be able to play and live an hour and some change away from my mom and dad, the house I brought them was at. So definitely, you couldn't write up any better than that.
Wait, you thought the Browns were going to take you perhaps number 1 overall?
Yes, I mean, that was my mindset. I was going in with, you don't know where we can go. I felt like I did everything that.
But did they tell you that they were going to take you number 1? Did they tell you that they might? Okay. All right. Should they have taken you? Should the Browns have taken you number 1 overall, Saquon?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy in New York. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And obviously, I know the last 2 seasons haven't been the way we would like as a team, but I want to be one of the key factors along with my teammates to help New York and help the Giants get back to the franchise that I know that we are.
Saquon Barkley, that's S with the $, the Giants running back, joining us on behalf of FedEx.com/coronavirus. Let the audience know what you're doing, how they can get involved.
Yeah, well, first, I want to say a huge out there in the front line helping fight COVID-19. And today I'm here on behalf of FedEx, who's having a major role in the fight against COVID-19. They've been working around the clock to deliver critical medical supplies to the healthcare company, community, delivering over 4 million masks, over 1 million pieces of protective equipment, which is in need right now, and to the frontline workers with direct relief. And to keep up to date with the FedEx relief efforts, visit FedEx.com/coronavirus.
Good to talk to you. Be safe and enjoy the draft tonight.
Thank you. Always fun. It's always a pleasure.
That's Saquon Barkley, Giants running back. All right, we got our play of the day coming up. Got a couple of stats of the day as well to bring to your attention. Chase Young will join us coming up next hour, and Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network. We'll hear from Rod Gronkowski about, Rob talked about if he had come back. I mean, he was open to maybe coming back, and he had been with Brady in February. And I don't know if it just Gronk was at his house in New England. But, they met in person, and I think at the time that's when he felt like, you know what, maybe there's something else here. And Gronk said even if Tom had gone back to New England, that he would have considered going back to New England. I have a hard time believing that. Now, I know Gronk's attached to Tom wherever Tom's going to be, but at that moment, Gronk had to know in February what Tom's plans were. He had put his house up for, like all of these things that had been in place for a couple of months there, Gronk had to know. Maybe Gronk is just playing nice with New England. Here's what he had to say about the possibility. Let me see. 2 months ago, that's a long answer here, where he talks about hinting to Tom Brady about coming back.
We actually got together about 2 months ago, and we rarely talked about what his decision was going to be, where I'm at. But we did talk about for 1 second. I told him that we talked just real quick, like, hey, it's kind of getting that fire underneath me again. I told him, and I said, I'm definitely interested in your decision that you make. I mean, I didn't put any pressure on him. I said, but if there's a right opportunity out there, and you go somewhere and the opportunity is right, even if you go back to the Patriots and I feel like the opportunity is right, there's a possible chance that I will definitely love to reconnect. And that's where the conversation started a little bit. And he was all fired up and juiced up about it. So that was something pretty cool at the moment. And in the end, it happened over time, which is pretty neat.
But he couldn't have gone back to New England because of the salary cap issue. Even if he wanted to, that's the reason why he said he had leverage with the Patriots this time around, saying, hey, I'd like to come back and play. And they're like, that's $9 million. They have no room under the salary cap right now. And it was, all right, we're going to trade you and get something for nothing, and you get a 4th-round draft pick for Rob Gronkowski. Both sides win in a situation. But I can't imagine him going back to New England. Cannot. Yeah, Paul.
You know, Tom got that piece of information 2 months ago and just put it in his back pocket. Didn't tell anybody, didn't let it. You know, that's one where you don't want to anyone know that the guy's interested.
Well, I'd love to know if when Tom talked to Bruce Arians that night that he went in and told Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, did he tell him before or after that conversation, hey, by the way, I'm coming and I'm bringing Gronk with me. He wants to come back and, you know, we'll make a trade for Rob Gronkowski. And maybe it didn't happen at that time, but I have to believe if Tom was selling Tom to the Buccaneers. It wasn't the other way around. Because Tom didn't have many options here. Let's be honest. I know that Jeff Darlington said there were 8 teams interested. We can say 8 teams. Did the 49ers go, would we take Tom Brady? I don't know. Let's talk about it a little bit. No, we like who we have. The Colts didn't consider it. The Raiders didn't consider it. Chargers, I guess, but Tom didn't want to go to the West Coast. So Tom was selling himself to the Buccaneers because he wanted to make sure that he had a team that was going to sign him. As crazy as that's going to sound, all these teams were interested, but nobody was really that interested. Tampa was. But I think Tom sold himself and probably said, hey, and I can bring Gronk. He may have said, we'll get Edelman too. Who knows? But Gronk headed to Tampa, and I was surprised that Vegas went from the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl for Tampa to be the 4th best odds. Man, that makes me nervous. Play of the day coming up next, and it has to do with Shaquille O'Neal. Back after this. Okay, how do you get approval to go visit and be a fly on the wall with Michael Jordan watching basketball?
It's unbelievable. I asked and asked and asked, and it was very clear. I read this New Yorker story about Paul McCartney. It said, when I'm 64, and it was about Paul McCartney turning 64. And I just was fascinated by the idea that Michael Jordan was turning 50, which, my God, what does that make me? And so I wanted to write a story about him and aging, and I sent the request in and was basically like, I'm doing this with or without him. I mean,
Okay.
if I have to call every human being he's ever met, we'll do that, which is what the Tiger story ended up being.
Yeah.
But
because Tiger did
not talk, and I
okay.
called every human being he'd ever met.
Do you think he wishes that he talked to soften that a little bit?
I mean, yes. I mean, just if nothing else,
they're all
to suck up real estate.
Well, they're all, control freaks. But, so Jordan allows you to listen.
And we hung out and watched basketball. And watching basketball with Michael Jordan is unbelievably intense because you realize he knows enough about the game, and you realize that he's scouting for games he's never going to play in. Like, it's so interesting to me. He is so self-aware that he constructed himself into someone who was perfect at his job. And the problem is, like, all of those carefully sharpened traits not only are useless in his new life, they're like worse than useless because they're like the things that are actively conspiring to keeping him from being able to enjoy having been Michael Jordan. And so, like, he knows it, that if he could put all of these, he sits there and plays that iPad game Bejeweled and is like one of the best people in the world at it. And like Michael Jordan, I mean, it's like some great chef cooking in a Waffle House. It's just, do you know what I mean? It's like, this is what it's come to. Do you know? I mean, he's playing Sudoku and he's like, I beat you, like it's crazy.
But he's also watching LeBron James.
Yes.
And the competitor in him says, I'd force him left. I'd make him shoot that jumper. If he goes right, I can't stop him. So you can't turn that off.
No, and it's interesting. His playing weight was 218. And so he when I saw him, he'd just gotten back from a vacation, eating and drinking, and he'd gotten up to like 250 something. And so he came back like all of us and hit the gym. And he said that when the pounds start coming off and he gets to 240 and 235 and 232 and 229, he's like, I start thinking about, can I get to 218? Because in Jordan world, 218 is the magic number. Like if I can get to 218, maybe I could play.
Did he talk about the triangle offense?
It was unbelievable. Like I had this framed on the wall of my office. Like we're sitting there, and I had a notebook, and we've been watching basketball for hours, and I'm like, I should have put that in the cost of these dreams. I should have just been the cover. Because what I did is, I'm like, can you explain the triangle to me? And he was just like, give me that notebook. And he drew it. And I'm sitting there and he draws the basketball court and a little X. He's like, this is me. And then another X, this is Scotty. And he's drawing lines. And I'm just like, this is Michael Jordan is explaining the triangle offense to me. And, my face is melting off. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, this. Like there were a few moments where I'm just like, this is bananas. Like,
and Jordan let you take the paper out.
Oh, I don't even think he realized that he'd done it. Like he just, you know what I mean? Like he just drew it, and it was in my notebook. And when I started going through the notebook later, I was like, "Oh my God!" But like, it was really interesting. I mean, I spent a lot of time around Jordan, and this sounds crazy, but like you would like him. Like he can give it and take it.
Yeah.
And you would like the guy.
But it took him a while to become this.
Well, it absolutely.
Because Tiger can't find that.
Well,
the older Tiger.
What's really interesting to me is that in some ways Tiger was really let down by the people around him who were packaging and selling him and you understand why they did it. When he started, the best and the most successfully marketed athlete in the world was Michael Jordan. And so Tiger's people, following best practices, sold Tiger exactly like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But the real problem is that Michael is naturally an extreme extrovert, and Tiger is naturally an extreme introvert. And, again, it's that Updike thing. The mask eats the face. I mean, he in some ways, making him be someone in public that he was spectacularly unsuited to be was psychologically disastrous.
Oh my God.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out. Shaquille, what? Now, I've never seen that. Hold on to the roof. The Shaq attack. Get your erector set out, Spencer. That is a first. Oh, my. Unbelievable.
27 years ago, Shaq brought down the house at the Meadowlands, the former home of the then New Jersey Nets. Magic went on to win behind a 50-point effort from Nick Anderson. That's courtesy of Magic Television Network and a little Gap Band. You dropped a bomb on me. Play of the day. Play of the day is brought to you by the great folks at LegalZoom. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. We had Nick Saban on yesterday, and he left us a little bit dumbfounded, which is not out of the norm. But he said that he has never texted before or emailed before. He receives, but he doesn't give. He calls. Here is the Alabama head coach yesterday. It was reported that you learned how to text and email during the quarantine. Can you confirm or deny?
Well, I receive emails. I'm not much of a texter. I receive text. So the big news is I now have an email and I receive emails. But
have you sent an email on your own?
No, I cannot.
And then who texts you?
Oh, all kind of people text me. But,
okay.
If I need to respond, I just call them.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. I tell my kids that. I say, why don't you just call me? Like, not everything has to, if I text them, they'll respond. If I call them, they don't answer.
I've been through the same program.
Well, mine's not a program. It's my family, so it's a little different. But I'm capable of texting and emailing. Yeah, Paul.
Do you guys believe that Nick Saban has never sent out on his own typing an email or a text, because that's what he told us yesterday. He made it sound like if he has to respond, it's either a phone call or someone does it on his behalf.
I would say the email, somebody handles that. I'm going to guess he's texted before. I'm going to guess that he sent a text. Yes, Fritzy.
I got the impression that he does not know how to send emails. It's more that than feeling that it should be more personal and have a phone conversation instead of communicating electronically back.
Yeah, but do you believe he's never sent an email?
Yes.
Do you believe he's never?
I think someone does it for him if he wants to send an email.
Do you believe that he has never texted before?
I think he's texted maybe a couple of times before, but not a significant amount. That he would prefer to have a phone conversation, but he's still learning how to actually send electronic messages.
Yeah, but it's not that difficult. I mean, an email is not that difficult. If somebody sends you something and then you just hit reply, type it in, send, that's pretty easy.
He's very busy. He doesn't have time to play with the whole reply all, and all the different options.
Yes, McLovin.
I know somebody who sent like a 12-paragraph heartfelt text to and just responds back with one word, K.
Yeah. Well, that's not even a word. It's a letter.
That's you.
Yeah, I can't even give you a word. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, but Dan, about 2 years ago, you graduated to emojis. Like you were one of the.
Oh, yeah.
And that was very disturbing for me. But okay, is Nick Saban being totally serious and legitimate, or is he kind of making a statement of this technology stuff? It's nothing but a pain in the ass, and downplaying his usage of it. Either he doesn't do it at all, which is what he said, or he's bothered by all of it.
Well, the first thing I thought when I heard him say it is, does Belichick text? Does he email? Because it feels like if Belichick is going to text you or email you, since they're good friends, are you then emailing or texting back to Bill Belichick, or do you go, Bill, I don't do this? And by the way, they do sound similar. I don't text. I don't need an email. Yes, Heaton?
Coaches of that level only correspond via handwritten letter.
When's the last time you wrote a letter? Been a long time? Like a true letter.
It's a solid move, though. It's a good move. But you have to use it at the right occasions.
Okay, but what's the right occasion?
Like when you want to, like when your message is very serious and you want to get that across to somebody, but you can't just be like, hey, what's up? How you guys doing? Hope you had a good holiday. Talk to you soon. Well, nobody wants to read that crap.
That's why I just look for some serious emojis, and then I can just send those out. So then it looks like it's really personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul.
Any handwritten letter more than one page automatically becomes a manifesto, and it's a negative thing on you. If you write more than like three paragraphs with a pen and paper, you have problems.
Well, I will admit, when I get letters here to the studio, and when I see that the envelope is packed.
How thick it is.
Yeah,
like,
then I go, oh, this can't be good. And I always read from the bottom up. So I start at the end of the letter to see if I need to read the entire letter.
And if it's signed, I will find you, Steve, you don't read the first two-thirds. You just hand it to authorities.
Or it's somebody who has a long number attached to their name. You want to make sure that, if it's an inmate number, just want to know what you're writing, what you're asking for. Yes, McLevin.
If there's white powder on it, you grab Tyler, say, Tyler, open this envelope.
Let's not encourage anything like that, McLevin. But, we get mail. In fact, I got some mail to open up. I got a surprise gift for all the Danettes who are in the studio today. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, Fritzy and McLevin.
Next week.
There's only, Paulie won't go home. I said, Paulie, you can do the show from home. He goes, nope. I didn't ask him to come in. Like I said to you guys, if you want to come in, you can. If you want to do it at home, I certainly understand it.
Well, if he goes home, he won't be able to hold this over our heads for the rest of eternity.
Of course.
I'm the only one that showed up, actually. So,
of course.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm the only one that actually showed up.
It's a long game, Seton.
And just because
I'm reading it, well played.
We had pasta yesterday made for us. We got wings tomorrow. Brian Cranston set in some of his mezcal. Oh, wish you guys were here. Chase Young, the former Ohio State defensive end, will join us coming up, and Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network on his latest mock draft. Coming up. Clear something up. Were you born right-handed and then became left-handed?
Yes, sir. I am right dominant. I write with my left. I kick. I write with my right. I kick with my right. I eat with my right. I do everything with my right except throwing and shooting. So
how well can you throw right-handed?
It's all right. It's not too bad. I mean, it feels almost natural.
But you could roll out right and throw right.
If it's probably like a 5-yard route, yeah, yeah, not too deep.
You could be like Mahomes. You would be the left-handed version of Mahomes.
Mahomes, that man's good. He's on another level.
Can you clear this up? Do your receivers do rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to go out on these long touchdown passes? Is that story real?
Well, I think they've done it a good amount last year, but it's only become evident this year.
Wait. So how do they do it? They do it on the sidelines to see who gets to go in?
They do it either on the sidelines or usually we have TV timeouts before we come out. So they usually do it during those TV timeouts. And I mean it's usually okay. It's a shot play right here. Let's rock, paper, scissors for this. Whoever's going to get the ball. And so,
wait, whoever wins rock, paper, scissors is who you're going to throw it to?
Most of the time, because they're usually going to be, because that's how we've been practicing. That person is going to get the ball, and then if they don't get the ball, then it's nothing big.
Mail time. This is to Dan and the Danettes. A little dos hombres can go a long way to curb loneliness and boredom. It is proven to make you better looking. Cheers, Bryan Cranston. Let's see what he's in with his tequila. Well, no, it's a mezcal. It's not a tequila. He scolded me. Any Danette in here gets a bottle, and there's only one Danette in here, and this is Dos Hombres, Bryan Cranston's autograph, and Aaron Paul's autograph.
Goes well with the draft. Nice.
Oh. Yeah, I got these bottles, but I don't have any other Danettes in here. That's a shame.
Bottle number 84.
Ooh. Beautiful. I got bottle number...
Bottom right corner.
Yeah, 2,000. I don't know if it's 2,297.
I think yours is like 7,097. I got 80.
Yeah. Does that... Well, I don't know. Which one's better? The one that they... Do
you want old?
Yeah, I'd like to have an older bottle. Yeah, because that one's aged a little more.
Beautiful. A lime? You get a little lime going? Thank you.
That's 867. I don't know why it matters with the numbers, but I'm into numerology. It's 263. I gotta go back on the air. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Draft Day. Let's go right now.
Matt Miller, Bleacher Report, NFL draft expert. Who will make a trade in the first round?
I think we're going to see a lot of trades this year because these GMs have been sitting at home trying to avoid their wives and kids.
Daddy?
Go read a book.
Daddy?
Play in your room.
But Daddy...
Talk to your mother.
Nothing to do but get on the phone with each other.
The Dan Patrick Show brings you the best guests in sports talk daily.
We're talking to Adam Schefter, of course, the great insider. How do you sort out exactly what is going on with Tua and his camp?
During the process, almost everybody outside the number one overall pick will have his stock down at some point in time, no matter how good he is. It's the moment of the truth, and everybody's got to put their cards on the table. We're taking this guy.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
And there's no hiding it.
This is Dan Patrick.
It's hour 2 on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Just got a shipment in of mezcal from Aaron Paul and Brian Cranston. And I said, if you're Danette here in the studio, you get a bottle. And I'll be damned. There's only Paulie here, so that's more for Paulie. Sorry, Seton.
Yeah, well, yeah, the other two Danettes don't even drink, so it's really just...
Yeah. I'll try to save you a bottle of this mezcal, but I don't know the next time I'm going to see you in person, Seton. I just don't know. Yeah. All right, Chase Young of the Washington Redskins, well, he might be. Maybe if the Falcons are going to have a nice package, and move up and trade with the Redskins, that they take Chase Young. Once again, there's a lot of rumors circulating, and we'll talk to Chase Young. Is he following any of this? We had our poll question first hour. If I said I can give you a defensive end, if I can give you Chase Young, who's a 10-time All-Pro, or I can give you Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert as a 2-time All-Pro, who are you taking? You're going to take Chase Young, right, McLevin?
It's really close. 92% take Chase Young. So there's 8% out there for Tua.
Yes, because if I know that guy is the best guy in the draft and he's a given at what he does, now you can say, well, he disappeared in a couple of big games, including the Clemson game. Okay. But by all accounts, he looks pretty tantalizing there, that you plug him in and you don't worry about him for 10 years. Yeah, McLevin.
I mean, the Bosas have been big hits, and they're both Ohio State, right? So,
yeah.
But is Chase Young riding that Bosa wave, or is he the real deal?
Oh, I'm going to guess he's the real deal. It's weird when you watched him play, like he was. You go, oh, that Bosa's great. He really is. And then you go, that guy right there is pretty good too. Like he keeps making a lot of plays. Now, what I was told at the time is, well, these offenses are focusing on Bosa, and that allows Chase Young to step up and be a little bit bigger. Well, when Bosa was gone, Chase Young stepped up. But the number 2 pick in the draft, perhaps there was a report that the Falcons might be trying to gather enough draft collateral to be able to go up and get that number 2 pick overall. There's also talk the Dolphins, they're either moving up or moving down. Like it's tough to follow. I said it in the first hour. The more I know, the less I know going into this draft. I have no idea. And corresponding with Chris Sims yesterday, and you know, he does this for a living. He's a former NFL quarterback. He just said Tua is not a top 10 talent. Would not take him. Even if he wasn't injured, he would not take Tua. He said, we've been force-fed Tua. Now, he's at Alabama, great story, comes in off the bench, leads his team to a national title, replaces Jalen Hurts, all those things. And, hey, he's the next Drew Brees. We've been told all these things. Factually, I don't know what is true. Is he going to have arthritis? Can he play a different way? Is he a left-handed Drew Brees? I mean, all these things that we've been told. If you want to take a chance, then you take your chance on Tua. I'm not taking a chance on Justin Herbert. Jordan Love, where do I take that chance on Jordan Love? Chris Sims also likened Joe Burrow to Peyton Manning. Man, we are heaping. So look, just when we look at these comps, just look at the comps that we've had. Joe Burrow, Peyton Manning. We had Rick Neuheisel say he's a more athletic Tom Brady. Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes. Tua Tagovailoa is like Drew Brees. Like, isn't there somebody a little bit lower here on the totem pole? Yeah, Paulie.
Wouldn't it be wild to see an NFL draft expert or someone during the draft beforehand compare him to an absolute bust? Like, Jordan Love is the next Cade McNown. This guy is going to stink. You never hear it. You never hear someone say, this guy will not work out.
Well, Justin Herbert was compared to Jay Cutler. Now, Cutler had a good career, serviceable career. He wasn't a bust, but he wasn't great. If you're drafting right now, and I said, you can have Justin Herbert, but he is going to be like Jay Cutler. Does that validate where you take him in the draft? Like, these are the things you have to feel strongly. That's the quarterback I want. And we've seen drafts where these coaches go, we better draft our quarterback now. That's going to happen with the wide receiver position. That's going to happen with the tackle position, where you're going to have coaches and GMs who will go, we better get our guy now. Are you getting the right guy for you? Or, hey, we may get frozen out here. Hey, let's go all in on Jerry Jeudy. Hey, let's wait. Can we get CD Lamb a little bit late? That's what happens. They get nervous, and then you want to pull the trigger there. Yeah, McLevin.
You may have to call Adam Schefter and personally apologize. Apparently, our listeners are harassing him to confirm Tom in Ohio's trade rumor. The Redskins and the Browns.
Okay.
He's getting a lot of tweets.
No.
Schefter, look into this.
Okay. Schefter, I'm sorry. We had Tom in Ohio, and Tom was quoting a source close to a source who may know Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner. He said, from what he's hearing, this is Tom in Ohio. I don't know his last name, but Tom in Ohio says the Redskins and the Browns are talking about a trade where the Browns would get Chase Young and the Redskins would get Odell Beckham, and they're also trying to add something else to this trade package. Yes,
Schefter usually doesn't get scooped like that, but man, that's got to be
it's got to hurt,
to say the least.
Yeah, that one's going to hurt. If Tom in Ohio, Tom's getting a job, like the mothership's going to bring him in. We got Chris Mortensen, we got Adam Schefter, Tom in Ohio. We got you covered here.
Let's go live. Tom in Ohio's got breaking news. Tom, what do you have?
Yes, Paul.
I just checked it out. It's Tom Schefter, so we're going to bring in Sheefy to give us the update. Sheefy, what do you have?
Shefty and Sheefty. Yes, Todd.
Is there any attribution on the bottom line of Tom from Ohio?
Not yet. I have not seen anything on the mothership. But I don't know if he was reporting or not. But it'd be great if Tom in Ohio nailed this. It would be. God. Because that's when, these insiders, somebody's going to take credit for this. Hey, I could see this. Sources close to me tell me it's Tom in Ohio. You don't have to tell your sources. I mean, guys go on TV and they just say a source close to me tells me. I don't know who the source is. It could be Tom in Ohio. That could be my source. I could just say, I'm hearing.
God, please let this be right. Please. If there's anything good in the world, Tom will have nailed this.
I will make another T-shirt. It will be Tom in Ohio.
His name is Tom in Ohio?
His name is Tom in Ohio instead of Tom Brady.
The real Tom.
Yes, the real Tom. The more influential Tom. His name is Tom in Ohio. Oh, that would be so good. I love freezing cold takes. There's a website, Freezing Cold Takes. And I'm sure that I've had many. I thought that Jacksonville should have drafted Johnny Manziel just to give that franchise a boost. Having somebody that you knew, that you had a face for the franchise. And we know how Johnny turned out. Did I know everything about Manziel off the field? I didn't. And even the work ethic and those things. We're finding out Mike Evans was really, really valuable for Johnny Manziel. But just, that whole fascination with, what was going on with Johnny Manziel. And I remember that, the Danettes were at the draft, and you had Cowboy fans at the draft saying, you got to take Johnny Manziel. And the Cowboys did the smart thing. They took Zach Martin, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Here's one from Skip Bayless. Johnny football will one day be bigger in Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was. Ouch. Mel Kiper on Russell Wilson.
Such a good line.
It is a great line. If it was true, it would be a great line. With Skip, it's rarely a great, it doesn't come to fruition. I don't know how he didn't work in, MJ over LeBron, but maybe that was a knock on LeBron that Manziel doesn't have to do much to be even bigger than LeBron because Skip's not a LeBron fan. Here's Mel Kiper on Russell Wilson Jr. III. I think he'll have a Seneca Wallace type career where you can bring him off the bench and he'll add a spark. Mel goes on to say, he's a Seneca Wallace type. I think he goes in the 4th round area and has a serviceable NFL career. What round did Russell Wilson Jr. III go in?
I thought it was 3rd round.
Third round?
Third round.
Well, he said 4th round. So Seneca Wallace was a serviceable quarterback. But, when we had Russell Wilson on a couple of weeks ago, he said, look, if I'm 6'4", I'm going 1st round, no doubt. It was just we didn't know. He would be – now imagine this. Here's Russ, who played NC State and at Wisconsin. Similar size as far as height and than Tua. We're all in on Tua because of that ability to throw the football. Russell Wilson was a great player and more athletic than Tua. So you're looking at these guys and you profile them. We profiled Drew Brees. We profiled Russell Wilson. We're not going to profile Tua. Like this, these aren't negatives that are held against him that he's only 6 feet tall. And he's not a big guy. He's not fast. And he's got all these injuries. But we're somehow, imagine any other position where we'd go, yeah, but, okay. And I brought this up in the first hour. If Jordan Love or Justin Herbert played for Alabama and Tua played for Utah State or Oregon, would we be looking at Tua the same way? Would we look at Justin Herbert and Jordan Love the same way? And the answer is no, we would not. Because we would probably think more of Justin Herbert and more of Jordan Love and less of Tua. Just because, he's playing at Utah State. I mean, Herbert gets a lot of credit at Oregon and winning the Rose Bowl. And Tua playing at Alabama. Did he get too much credit at Alabama? Yeah, Paul.
You were saying the other day about Steph Curry's impact is on how people shoot. I think Russell Wilson's impact, if Russell Wilson doesn't work out to be an A-level player, Kyler Murray never gets drafted number 1. Baker Mayfield never gets drafted number 1. It's almost like the question about height and quarterbacks is almost gone for the small quarterbacks, and it's almost worse to be 6'5" and over.
Remember what I heard leading up to the draft? Kyler Murray can't get those. Those balls are going to get knocked down. He's not going to be able to throw over those defensive linemen. I'm thinking, when's the last time you heard, man, Kyler Murray, too short? I mean, the linemen who were big at Oklahoma, they didn't, you don't go, you may gain weight, you don't get taller when you go to the NFL. But all of a sudden you go, yeah, well, he had gaps to throw in at Oklahoma here. And I don't hear this, Baker Mayfield can't throw a pass without getting it knocked down. All the greats get passes knocked down. Which quarterback had the most passes knocked down last year? Maybe we could get StatSync on that. Remember the 2014 movie Draft Day? And that was a valiant effort by Kevin Costner. He starred in the role, and it was about the NFL draft. And a few things that were inaccurate, just a couple. Costner's character drafted a linebacker with the number 1 overall pick and a running back at number 7. And granted, Vontae Mack was good, but not number 1 worthy. The analytics department, and of course, this is the Cleveland Browns, so the draft is a little more dramatic than anything a screenwriter could come up with. Moments before the 2016 draft, the video comes out of Laramie Tunsil smoking pot out of a gas mask. Like if you said to Hollywood, hey, come up with a crazy draft day script, they would probably say, that's so far-fetched there. And then we're watching that unfold and go, there is nothing that beats sports. You can try to write it, try to create it. You can't beat it. Remember when the Colts GM Vince Tobin called out Mel Kiper? Then there's always the guy waiting in the green room. Aaron Rodgers waiting in the green room. Waiting in the green room. And I thought about this last night. If I knew that I get invited to the draft and I know that I'm slipping, I would take off my shirt and tie and I would start throwing the football and start working out. Like I would let a team know that I'm so serious about being great I'm gonna put on my full uniform. I'm gonna run the 40s, and I'm gonna be in a sweat. And then if the commissioner calls my name in a couple hours, I'll go up to the podium in my uniform and just say, "Hey, I mean business here." Can you imagine if Aaron Rodgers is like, "You got to be kidding me"? I mean, you're going to look silly, but hey, I've done that before. I'm just going to start working out here, guys. You know? Yeah, Todd.
But that could be perceived as being frustrated and losing your mind, but that you've been waiting long. It rubs some people the wrong way, like he's looking for this extra attention that's somehow bugging him that he hasn't been picked yet, as opposed to just staying in his normal clothes and patiently waiting to hear his name called.
I think Todd's kids have gotten up and they're on the internet, so we're probably going to have to ice you out here, Todd.
We're all a lot better off for it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Have them keep
It's a
jump
round
on
of
the
applause
internet.
for Todd's
Have
kids.
them-
Yeah,
Good show.
Todd's
Get them
kids
streaming some
waking
video
up.
games.
Sorry, Todd. We'll just leave you. You're better to look at anyway. We'll just look at you. Sorry. Yeah, McLevin.
Eye candy.
Didn't Geno Smith just leave after
Yes,
like
he
26
did.
picks?
Yeah.
He's just like, forget
Yeah,
it.
he went to his hotel room. I love that because once again we heard, he could go number 1 overall. He could go number 1 overall. Okay, like that's a big whiff where you go, he's not going number 1 overall. He's not even going in the first round. When's the last time some of the analysts whiffed on somebody that badly? Where we projected them to be either really high in the draft or they were going to go middle round. Like, has anybody whiffed more, bigger than what happened with Geno Smith? He was going to go potentially number 1 overall. He didn't even go on that day. Yeah, McLevin.
I saw a tweet that the big faller in recent years, Derwin James, the Charger safeties, was supposed to go top 5 and he fell to 17. But that turned out to be a huge mistake,
Yeah,
right?
Good. Yeah, that guy. He can play. He's good. Yeah, but he didn't drop out of the first round.
No, I can't think of anybody like
you
Geno.
go from 1 to whatever, 38 or whatever he was drafted.
Was that the draft where only EJ Manuel went in the first round, where there were just no QBs? I'll have to check that. Remember, I felt like we pushed the EJ Manuel into the first round.
No,
narrative.
I know. I did. Guilty. Absolutely. I said, boy, I love his personality. And watching him play at Florida State, you play at some of these places where you go, oh, my God, that guy looks so great. I don't know how good you would look if you were in another uniform. And that's the hard part. Joe Burrow was unbelievable at LSU. Would he have been unbelievable if he was at Mississippi State? Would Jordan Love be unbelievable at Alabama? I just don't know. And that's what's hard to separate the talent around you with really who you are, because these guys are going to teams that aren't very good. Kyler Murray, I had no issue with at all. On record as saying no issue at all. Lamar Jackson, I said, I don't need to see a combine. I don't need pro days. I saw what I needed to see at Louisville. That's it. I got to see you and do it in real time against real people. Baker Mayfield, I had no problem with him either being drafted. But look, I whiffed on Manziel because I thought, man, will that give Jacksonville. Now you're interesting. And that's really important. You want to be interesting. Even if you're not great, be interesting. And Jacksonville has been neither. And they're getting less interesting, it feels like, each day. But if they get a great quarterback out of Clemson next year, then all of a sudden they become relevant and interesting. Yeah, Paul.
You mentioned the movie Draft Day with, was it
Costner?
Costner plays Sonny Weaver in charge of the Browns. Do you remember last time we had Costner in? It's kind of hidden because he swore at me. He dropped an F-bomb on me. But we each got to ask one movie question for Kevin Costner, and McLevin goes, why in the hell would you take a middle linebacker and a running back in the first top 10 picks of the draft? Who would do that?
I know.
He asked him like a football question.
I know. Like he had to defend the script.
Why would any football guy do that?
Yeah.
Bo Callahan, no one went to his birthday party. You guys remember that? The quarterback? He fell.
I know. Most passes batted down last season. Baker Mayfield 1, Andy Dalton 2, Matt Ryan 3, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kyle Allen, and Phillip Rivers. I got some tall guys in there. Matt Ryan's 6'5", 6'6", Andy Dalton 6'4". I don't see Kyler Murray in there getting passes knocked down, or Russell Wilson Jr. III. Take a break. Chase Young of the Ohio State Buckeyes is going to join us. We get some phone calls as well in here. It's 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Discover what Discover can do for you. You're checking things all the time. Your Instagram, your email. You need to check what Discover is doing, and you can check your credit. It's your FICO credit scores, the score used by 90% of top lenders, and you get to do that for free, even if you're not a customer. Checking your score doesn't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes there. The Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. That's discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. He's Patrick Ewing. He's the Hornets' associate head coach. What's the best and worst thing about being on the coaching staff with Michael Jordan as your boss?
Have to listen to all the crap. You know,
even now,
he is a man. Even now, he's never changed. Since we've been 18, he's been the same person. Always, talking trash, picking at you. You've never beat me. All the stuff that all the things the trash that he talks when we're all together. The same thing. It's never changed. But also the best thing, the great thing about working for him is that he's played the game. He understands a lot of the things that we as coaches have to go through. And he's very, he's I'm not going to say easy on us, but he understands and he's able to give us a little bit of leeway when leeway is needed.
Is LeBron entering Michael Jordan territory?
LeBron James is a great player. He's a great player in this era, but he's not Michael Jordan. It's two different animals. Michael was a killer. He's an assassin. LeBron is more of a facilitator. He's the guy that you're gonna give the ball, and he's thinking shoot first before pass. Where Michael, you give him the ball, he's thinking he's gonna score 50 on you, and then he's gonna pass. And Michael Jordan was the best player, the greatest player in my era. There's been a lot of great players in this league, and it's hard to to give one player that best ever crown, but all I can say is in my era, Michael Jordan was the best player in my era, and he's, I haven't seen anybody else. Kobe is, I guess, came the closest to him, but LeBron is great, but he's not Michael Jordan.
Who would you want as your teammate, Jordan or LeBron?
Well, I'm greedy, too, so I want to score, too.
Mike's not throwing you the ball, Patrick.
Yeah, I know. LeBron is definitely going to pass it a lot more than Michael. But, when at the bottom line is as players, we want to win. And, when you have somebody, we always equate basketball to war, and we always talk about the foxhole, even though it's nothing like war. But when you have somebody in your foxhole, you want to know if they're going to have your back. And not to say that LeBron won't have your back, but I know what Michael brings to the table, and I would definitely would rather him.
Sneak in a couple of phone calls. This program brought to you by Mercedes. AMG, be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT 4-door coupe. Life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. Nathan in Illinois joins us as we get ready for Chase Young. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Dan, 5'10", 190. And calling from Carbondale. Paulie will know where that's at.
All right.
But I just wanted to talk about the Patriots and their draft selection. I think that, if there's a year that Bill Belichick, and he would never admit this, wants to be a kind of a dark horse and really go for it all, it's this year. I think it would be crazy if the Patriots, without Tom Brady and without the GOAT, so to speak, can go really far. I think that would be crazy.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't know what they're willing to do. I don't know. You're not going to just take a quarterback to take a quarterback. You want to get the guy that fits your system. And I also think Andy Dalton and Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, after the draft, might have a better indication of where they could land a job here. Chase Young, expected to go number 2 overall, the former Ohio State defensive end, but also high school basketball star. How good were you at basketball, Chase?
I was pretty good. I definitely played my role. I played with some good dudes, DJ Harvey, to the Ryan Allens, Nate Darling, and obviously Markelle Fultz.
Fultz was a teammate of yours at DeMatha?
Yes, yep.
Who was a better player in high school?
Me, obviously. But Markelle, definitely the best player I've ever seen play. But definitely grateful to be a part of his journey and his experience still to this day. He called me earlier. I'm gonna call him after I'm done with these interviews. But that's my bro. All love to him.
Do you know where you're going?
I don't.
Do you care?
It's obviously it's not our choice. So I definitely care where I'm going because this is a big moment in my life. But wherever I go, I'm gonna try to go in and just be the best player I could be.
Any downside to playing closer to home?
I feel like it's pros and cons of playing everywhere. Definitely cons of playing at home. Big bros that I've talked to around the league, have already told me learn how to say no. And if you want to if I were to be selected by the Redskins, playing at home, it's a lot of obviously keep it real. It's a lot of leeches, of people around that you don't always run around, and you just got to learn how to say no. So that's one big thing that I took from all the talks I've had with just my big brothers who already been through it.
Yeah, but that's great advice to give you because you're going to have a hard time saying no. And even, as long as I've been doing this, Chase, and I still see younger players where they get caught in there, they get trapped, and then people go, hey, I want to be on the payroll. Because when you make your money, it's not just your money. You're going to find out you got a lot more friends than you ever thought of.
Definitely. And that's something I feel like I'm prepared for.
Good. You should be. What's the party situation tonight?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to have up to 10 people in my house, but what we're going to do that's pretty different. My mom actually came up with it, is we're going to have a projector on the side of the house, and basically that's going to give a chance for my friends and more of my family to pull up and actually watch it outside my house. So when I do get drafted, then I can just come outside and I can greet everybody outside. So, basically just trying to make this day as safe and as clean as possible, so we can make this the best day possible.
What's on the menu?
So Chipotle is actually going to cater it. So, we're going to have a bunch of Chipotle for
Well, wait, Chase, I don't want you to get in trouble with the NFL. If they know that Chipotle, and then I don't want the NFL to say, hey, you can't have any advertising there. So just be careful.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble. Send some to the commissioner's house. Maybe that'll help. But yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble. Your dad was a basketball player, but he's like 6'9" or 6'10", isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty big.
Are you going to grow? Like you're 6'5". You were small in high school. Didn't you? Were you a quarterback in high school when you started out, or growing up?
Yeah, yep. When I was growing up, I played quarterback, and on defense, I played linebacker. So,
well, who did you play quarterback like?
When I was younger, probably like Donovan McNabb for real.
That's good. That's good.
Probably like Donovan.
Maybe you could play both positions for the Redskins. You could play quarterback and no, I'm just kidding. Do you talk to Bosa at all?
All the time.
What's he tell you?
He texted me earlier. Just told me, congratulations. And I'm gonna call him, before everything happens. But that's he's taught me a lot throughout my career. Definitely helped me to be the player that I am today. So. All love for my big bro.
You going to stay with the hair? Going to keep the hair?
My hair? Oh, yeah, I'm never cut my hair.
Never?
Never cut my hair. 15
years from now, you'll still have that look?
Still have my dreads.
Will you trim it?
I'll definitely trim it. If it gets too long, I'll definitely probably trim it.
Mom's okay with it?
Oh, yeah. She loves my hair.
When's the last time you talked to Urban Meyer?
About 2 weeks ago.
Yeah?
2 weeks ago.
What did he say?
Mm-hmm. Just basically, congratulating me and just basically talking about the whole process. Yeah.
I struggle with this, Chase, because I said this to start my show today. Mm-hmm. Would I rather have you, who will be a 10-time Pro Bowl player, or would I take a quarterback like Tua if he was a 2 or 3-time Pro Bowl? I don't understand why you're not the number one pick in the draft, or people aren't going up to try to trade for you. Are you the best player in the draft?
Yes, I'm definitely the best player in the draft.
But maybe I heard the Falcons might try to trade up to that number 2 pick because they were interested in you. I don't understand this. Why other teams wouldn't? If that edge rusher, the quarterback, and we can throw in somebody else, those are the 3 or 4 most important positions on the field. So I'm a little dumbfounded. And granted, I'm an Ohio native, so maybe I'm a little biased there, but I think teams would be crazy if they're not interested in at least exploring a trade for you. Have you heard any other trade scenarios here?
I've heard a lot.
Can you tell me?
I've heard, obviously, the Falcons. I've heard the Dolphins might try to trade up. The New York, the Jaguars. So I've heard a few teams that they say might try to trade up, but, that's something that I try not to really pay too much attention to. I feel like, what's going to happen is going to happen.
But how many teams have you spoken to?
I know at the Combine, I had 5 interviews, and after that, I talked to Detroit and Washington.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I know you're joining us on behalf of Old Spice, or United Way, or I should say United Way and Old Spice. But if you want to give the sales pitch on what you're doing.
Yeah, so basically, I decided to partner with Old Spice, and giving back is something that's big, and that's something that's a part of me. And basically, what Old Spice is doing, and a couple of rookies, basically all rookies around the league, with every 32 teams, is partnering up with Old Spice to give $320,000 with to United Way to support just underprivileged guys and families. And, I feel like that's something I take pride in doing. So, that's why I partner with Old Spice.
Good stuff there. The 3-day draft-a-thon with the virtual fundraiser. You can go to NFL.com/relief. I'll leave you with this. Would you rather be on the team with Dwayne Haskins or be able to sack Dwayne Haskins?
be on the team with him for sure.
All right. You didn't get to hit him in practice, and you won't be able to do that either this time if you're with the Redskins. But I figured you might want a chance to pop him at least once. Chase, have fun tonight, and good luck wherever you go. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And that's Chase Young, former Ohio State defensive end. Maybe somebody's going up to get him. Maybe not. Maybe Washington just says, no, he's so good that we're not entertaining trade offers here. I feel like, the Dolphins were going all in on Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow is considered a can't-miss prospect. He can miss. Like, it could be one of the bigger busts of all time if Joe Burrow doesn't work out in Cincinnati. When you think about all the hype surrounding him, greatest college football season ever. It's tough to do it. It's tough to do it at that position. And you're going to a team that is not established. You need a lot of help there. And what's Joe Burrow and what will the Bengals look like in 3 years? That's where my curiosity is with this. Justin Herbert, even though you go maybe 5 to Miami, he won't have anywhere near the pressure Joe Burrow. Tua is going to have pressure because the pressure will be, hey, I told you I could play. I told you I was healthy. All of these things. He's going to have a lot of pressure as well. Dylan in Philadelphia joins us. Hey, Dylan, what do you have?
Hey, Pat. 6 foot 200. I'm calling in because, sorry, at McAfee show interviewed Justin Herbert yesterday, and he asked him which teams talked the most. You can actually see him stop himself from saying the Lions, cuts himself off, and changes it to the Dolphins. Don't know if he slipped up because he has been talking the Lions, but thought that was pretty interesting.
Okay. All right. We'll look into that, but thank you for the heads up there. A little CSI Philadelphia. Yeah, Paul.
I keep bringing it back. Nothing about the Lions, but you go back to when the Jaguars took Blake Bortles. There is no rumors about it. I went back and looked at the mock drafts like, nope. That's not where they're going. And Blake Bortles actually said that they hit it. They told him to keep quiet. The Jaguars kept quiet, and then they took their guy.
Yeah. I thought, do the Lions go rogue here? But I was told that the staff has to win this year. So the staff is not looking at 2 or 3 years down the road.
But I thought when you draft a rookie quarterback, that buys you 2 more years as a staff because then you get the hall pass for the transition year.
It didn't help Jay Gruden in Washington. And he didn't want Dwayne Haskins.
Touche.
Like, he didn't want the rookie quarterback. He got it, and then it cost him his job there.
I retract my statement.
Yeah, but if I'm Detroit, I get it. You got Matthew Stafford, who is very good, but you gotta love that quarterback you get. If you get Justin Herbert, are you just getting a younger Matthew Stafford? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's just there's so much speculation, so many opinions now, because everybody's got a mock draft. I might be one of the few hosts who does not have a mock draft, but I won't inflict that pain on you. Yeah, Paul.
My first round mock draft comes out tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm going to crush it.
And hopefully you get, a good 40% of them right. When you look at a mock draft, if you get 6, 7, 8 right, you've had a good mock draft. Yeah, McLevin.
They're saying this is the hardest year to mock draft in the last 10 years because of the coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but is that sound consistent to you?
Yes. Yeah. But I think you're going to have people who are going to be wildly wrong, I think, in this draft because of the coronavirus, not able to get out, not able to go to pro day. You're not quite sure. Instead of just taking what you get from what they did on Saturdays, and then you talk to a couple of people. I mean, the approach I would have is I see what I see on tape, but then I need 1 or 2 people to help me. And I go back to Ryan Leaf when the Colts were deciding on Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. Granted, we all know they took Peyton Manning. They made the right decision. Chargers took Ryan Leaf. I run into an equipment manager at a Final Four. And he said, man, I wanted to tell you this. Ryan doesn't love football. Like, he likes being the quarterback. He doesn't love football. Just so you know, he won't put in the time that Peyton Manning will. And I went, all righty. And it turned out to be true. Like, finding people who can help you understand a player other than, okay, I got that. He can throw it. He can run it. What makes you tick? Like Drew Brees had a chip on his shoulder, and it's never left him. Russell Wilson has one. Tom Brady has one. Aaron Rodgers has one. Now, Peyton Manning was told by scouts, teams, hey, we've seen your ceiling. You'll not get any better than that. All of these guys. Eli Manning, you're not as good as your brother. Everybody wants to have that chip on their shoulder. They do. Joe Burrow came to LSU with a chip on his shoulder. I couldn't, get the starting job at Ohio State. I'll show them. Jalen Hurts, chip on his shoulder. He lost his job, went to Oklahoma. We're still not sure where he's going to be drafted. Like, this is what these guys, some guys get the chip, some guys don't. But those who have it, they never let it go. Tom Brady just put out the 20-year anniversary of the draft and the quarterbacks taken in front of him. And as he said, you don't forget. Yeah, McLovin.
Yeah, like Ken Kettering.
Ken Kettering got the
You've had a
job.
chip?
You're right. I did have it. I still have a chip on my shoulder for something that happened 30 years ago, something like that, where I lost the job at Channel 2 in Dayton, Ohio to Ken Kettering. You're right. Crushed me. And I still haven't recovered. I mean, I've done some decent things, but I wanted to be the weekend anchor at Channel 2. I still want to be the weekend anchor. I would give up this to be, I want to show them. Channel 2 weekend anchor, WDTN. Thanks for bringing that up. Thank you, McLovin.
All the greats have a chip, Dan. You said it.
Yes, Paul.
And we've had Ken Kettering on the air.
Yeah.
Remember a couple years ago we surprised you with him?
Yeah, I
He's
know.
still doing well in Dayton, former TV sports anchor in Dayton.
Yeah, I know. Still looks good. Still.
I'm looking at him right now. His hair's holding on nicely. Got to give him credit.
It's the first time I realized it's not how good you are. It can be how good you look. And that's where I realized I was really smart with sports, but I did not compare to Ken Kettering's looks. Like local TV, the sports guy, Biff, certain sports guys, they fit in. He's the wacky sports guy. Or Ken Kettering was just damn good looking. That was it. So when I imagine losing the job because somebody's just better looking than you. There's nothing I can do. I mean, I thought about cosmetic surgery.
It's like Garoppolo and Brady. I don't know what that means.
No, I don't know what
They're
that
both
means
good
either.
looking.
Let's take a break. Yeah, I was not good looking. I dated the news director's secretary.
You slept around to get the job?
I didn't sleep around.
Oh.
I dated.
That's what I just heard.
Yeah, I dated.
That's what I heard.
And I did like her, but it didn't help me get the job. I tried to sleep my way to the top, and I still couldn't do it. What a loser I am. God. I think we should take a break here, and we'll be back right after this on the Dan Patrick Program. I mentioned this is National Chili Day, and Paulie went back and found one of our favorite clips from The Office where Brian Baumgartner, Kevin on The Office, brings in his chili. Can we play this? And then Fritzy track down Brian, and he'll join us, because we want to know if that was a one take.
At least once a year, I like to bring in some of my Kevin's famous chili. The trick is to undercook the onions. Everybody is going to get to know each other in the pot. I'm serious about this stuff. I'm up the night before, pressing garlic and dicing whole tomatoes. I toast my own ancho chilies. It's a recipe passed down from Malone's for generations. It's probably the thing I do best.
For those who can't see, he dumps an entire pot on the floor of the office. So he's trying to pick it up with paper, manila, like a folder there. Let's bring in Brian Baumgartner, best known as Kevin on The Office. All right, Brian, thanks for joining us. Give us the background on that scene on The Office.
Well, first off, good morning, Dan. How are you?
Great, Brian. Great.
Oh, good. It was just some crazy writer with this bizarre idea of total failure by Kevin. And the idea, I mean, the thing that's so incredibly sad about it is this is the thing that he's most proud of in the entire world, and he ends up looking like the biggest idiot ever. We had that day, well, so I got two stories for you on the filming that day.
Okay.
They had, there was this nondescript office-y gray carpet that we had in the office for 10 years. And they had literally cut a whole other insert to put down on the floor to replace the carpet for all time. And I think they had 3 of them, so we had 3 takes that we could do. 1 take, Dan. 1 take.
That's it.
That's it. Sometimes that's all you need. When you give the glory, that's all you need. You know what I'm saying?
But did they tell you to kind of slip in it because you're cleaning up? Did they tell you how to clean it up?
No, that was me. No, that was me. No, I mean, we discussed what could happen, but no one had done a trial run on this carpet about what would happen. I mean, it was an enormous amount of chili, like a lot of chili.
Yeah.
There is a. Well, I don't care. They're paid. Hormel chili can is what was in that thing.
Okay.
So I actually have a very nice dinner that night at Mastro's down in Beverly Hills, pre-planned, and we shot that. Not unsurprisingly, at the end of the day, in case there was this gigantic mess, and they had to cut out the carpet and literally redo the carpet so we could keep doing takes. So I was the only actor still on set. Everybody else was gone. And I get done. I'm filthy. We shower me. Like, I've got all these people, like, handing me towel. I mean, it's coming out from everywhere, right? Because I'm, like, rolling in it. So I get to Masters. I'm super excited about this. All I can do is smell chili. Like, I can't get it off. I can't get it off me. Like, it's everywhere, like, in my, under my fingernail. I mean, it's just horrific.
The best line, though, is when you sort of go, oh, like when you realize the tragedy of it all. Oh.
Yeah, he was just so proud. He was just so proud.
And rightfully so. Man, we miss Kevin. We do.
Well, thank you. Maybe he'll be back someday. Who knows?
Is there a chance to do a reunion? Wait. Brian. Oh, you are. Oh, okay. I thought we had breaking news. Like the Hollywood Reporter might be quoting us here.
Yeah, no, not yet. We'll see.
But you don't rule it out.
Well, let me put it this way. I know somebody at NBC wants to do it.
Yeah.
Wants something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an executive there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a great idea? And then that becomes the big story. I mean, they're doing Roseanne, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. And, there's a few of them that are being brought back now. Hey.
Will and Grace?
Yeah, Will and Grace. Yeah. We can bring back the Office. All right. Thanks for joining us, as always, Brian. We appreciate it.
Hey, happy Chili Day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. That's Brian Baumgartner. He was Kevin on The Office. Chase Young was good. I'm going to want to ask him about any disadvantages to playing close to home. He talked about the leeches, his word. We got a winner today on Fritzy's scoreboard. It's Matt in Iowa. The numbers are 8 and 44. I don't know this day in sports history if it has to do with that. I'm guessing it does. But Todd, would you want to give us a hint? 8, the number 8, and the number 44.
Clue for both numbers, I put down "so it begins." It has to do with this date in history for both.
All right.
And so it begins.
So it begins. How about 8 for Troy Aikman?
Yes, 31 years ago today in 1989.
okay.
First pick by the Cowboys in the draft on this date. Yes.
I was thinking 44 with Jim Brown, even though he wore 32 in the pros. How did I do?
Not Jim Brown. Reggie Jackson's obviously a big 44, but it's the other big 44 from that sport.
Tom Rathman, former fullback of the 49ers.
Yes, McLovin.
I just looked it up. Was Hank Aaron 44? I didn't know that.
66 years ago today, Hammer and Hank in 1954, his first of 755 home runs began 66 years ago today.
And that was off Vic Raschi.
Was it?
I think so. His first home run.
There you go, 8 and 44, Aikman and Hammer and Hank.
All right. Couple of phone calls in here. By the way, we have exclusive audio. We have a source, Tom in Ohio, who joined us last hour and dropped this bombshell on the Dan Patrick Show.
I got a friend of a friend who knows Jimmy Haslam well.
Yeah.
And Daniel Snyder and Jimmy Haslam, I know they're not general managers, but they've been talking very seriously about the love affair that Daniel Snyder has with Odell Beckham Jr. And Jimmy Haslam has that same type love for Chase Young. And they're within one draft pick of making that move.
All right. Tom in Ohio is saying the Browns and the Redskins are close to pulling off a trade. And this is sources close to a source that's close to your source. Is that what you're saying, Tom?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's Tom in Ohio, and I'm going to run with it. Now I can say a source close to the Dan Patrick Show is reporting that the Browns and Redskins could pull off a trade where Chase Young... I didn't want to break the news to Chase Young that he could stay in Ohio. He just goes up north from Columbus. Yeah, Paulie.
I'm connecting the dots here. Chase Young's draft party is brought to you by Chipotle. I looked. There is a Chipotle in Cleveland.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Oh, well then.
Possibly two.
Yes, Eden.
I like that Tom. It almost felt like he was taking his life in his own hands by giving us that information. Like he was just snuck off to get the phone call in real quick and said, like, but I have to tell you this information. It may cost me my life.
I may die, but I'm willing to tell the Dan Patrick Show. If these are my last breaths, my last words.
Have to get this information out.
Yes. God, if that turns out to be true.
Oh, it'd be the best.
It'd be so good. Tom in Ohio. Just to see Tom in Ohio on the bottom line of the mothership. Because first reported by Tom in Ohio. And Jay Glazer, of course. Let's see. Drake in South Dakota. Hey, Drake.
Hey, how's it going, Dan?
Great.
206.4. Say, I had a great T-shirt idea for you. The transition from the Tom Brady thing.
Yeah.
Why are we surpassing Joe Burrow, Joe Exotic? He's going to the Bengals. Tiger. I think there's something there.
All right. So Tiger Joe.
You can get Joe Burrow there with smoking his cigar with the mullet wig on there.
Okay. All right. I think we're good on T-shirts right now, but I appreciate the phone call there and the suggestion. We have the Rob Gronkowski, the Gronkaneers for the Buccaneers. That T-shirt is available. And once again, you have until the 27th for the Tampa Bay T-shirt. And then we are going to be in compliance with Tom, the cease and desist, and we will not make that T-shirt again. Hurry. You got till the 27th. All right, final hour coming up. More phone calls, and we'll talk to Daniel Jeremiah, his final mock draft. What's he think of Tom in Ohio's report? Chipotle.
Here.
Okay.
Wait, by the way, I have a special announcement. Instead of Joe, we're going to have
JT Barrett and Dwayne Haskins coming up.
Good one.
Wow.
Good one.
Oh, my God.
Wow. What are you doing?
I'm just saying.
What are you doing?
But Joe should be used to this.
I was told to throw one normal, so you might get two really hard now.
Well, I'm wide open like your receivers most of the year for the touchdown.
Kirk Cousins went back like this.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting something.
Okay.
There you go.
By the way, that's a bullseye on his helmet, Joe. That's what that's there for. Uh-oh. Whoa!
He can't help but complete passes. He's those sticky gloves.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow!
They should do that at the combine.
You've joined a great club of quarterbacks who have knocked down McLovin. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
good luck,
thanks
all
for
right?
having me.
Yep,
Sure.
yep. Good luck.
Yep, nice meeting you as well.
You got two of them, McLovin.
Yep, you got it. It's all
You can
good,
just
man.
see it in the look in his eyes. He's like, oh, really? I'm going to smoke this dude.
When I made the joke, I'm like, hey, good news, we have JT Barrett and Dwayne Haskins coming to replace you throwing to me. He goes, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he didn't laugh. He didn't,
No,
he did not. Yes, Todd.
He didn't appreciate that at all. I thought all three of those, because you were talking transfer in the beginning, I thought he was going to fire it at you. All three. The first two, he let you off the hook a little bit.
I give you credit, though, McLovin, because you broke your finger, I think, last year catching a pass.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you broke your finger.
Well, these footballs are fully inflated.
Yeah,
where's a deflator when we need them?
Well, we did ask him, do you want one that's got a little less air? And he goes, no, I like it pumped up.
Yeah, I was surprised because he's not like a huge hand guy. I don't know. We'll find out his hand measurement soon.
We should have measured his hand while he was here. Paulie?
My bad.
Come on.
Left my tape at home.
Yeah. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Draft Day. Let's go right now.
Matt Miller, Bleacher Report, NFL draft expert. Who will make a trade in the first round?
I think we're going to see a lot of trades this year because these GMs have been sitting at home trying to avoid their wives and kids.
Daddy?
Go read a book.
Daddy?
Play in your room.
But Daddy...
Talk to your mother.
Nothing to do but get on the phone with each other.
The Dan Patrick Show brings you the best guests in sports talk daily.
We're talking to Adam Schefter, of course, the great insider. How do you sort out exactly what is going on with Tua and his camp?
During the process, almost everybody outside the number one overall pick will have his stock down at some point in time, no matter how good he is. It's the moment of the truth, and everybody's got to put their cards on the table. We're taking this guy.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
And there's no hiding it.
This is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your lives. You can be watching, you can be listening, emailing, tweeting, dial us up, all the above. Watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Also, 362 radio affiliates around the country. Proud to be representing you during this time period. I just got an interesting email. This is Bob in Tampa, who just sent a really interesting email. If Roger Goodell wants to improve his status with fans, he should start the draft by... Anybody want to take a guess on what he should do to start the draft? Because I think this is brilliant. Let me start with brilliance. McLovin, what do you think the commissioner should do?
Like, are you getting like booing himself or something like that?
No. Close. Seton O'Connor Jr. III.
Oh, man. What should he do to start the draft that would be brilliant? Say when the season's going to start?
That would be good. That would be good, but I don't think that will happen. Paulie?
I think this guy wrote this down. I think he thinks Roger Goodell should be wearing a mask when he starts the draft.
A mask?
For safety, for protection.
Oh.
And,
not like a gas mask like he's been taking bong rips?
Like a shout out to the healthcare workers of some sort.
Okay. No, but I like that. If the commissioner wants to improve his status with fans, he should start the draft by having his own family boo him so he can respond by saying, really? My own family? Because isn't there a booing portion of the draft? Didn't the commissioner say that you can boo him? Yes, McLevin.
Yeah, there's some Bud Light sponsorship.
Oh, okay.
Like every time you boo him online. But now you just ruin it. Because if he does it now, then it's
he's not gonna take my advice or Bob's and Tampa's advice. I mean, he might take Bob's, but not mine. If I said, you could add a little levity here. You start by welcome to the 2020 virtual NFL draft, and then he's got twin daughters, and then they go like, boo! And then he goes, really? My own family? And then we start the draft. All righty. Never mind.
No, I like it. What does Tom in Ohio think?
Tom in Ohio is our insider, and I can't go to him too often. I went to him one time for a bombshell. Actually, he came to me with the trade possibility here. By the way, if you're the Redskins, now I'm breaking down Tom in Ohio's trade proposal. If you're the Redskins, you don't want Odell Beckham Jr. You can get Chase Young. Chase Young is a local guy. Seems like he knows what's in store, got his head straight, got his family there with him, and I would take him. Now, granted, Washington makes some mistakes, a lot of mistakes, but, if you're Cleveland and you could get Chase Young, I know I'm breaking down a trade, but that is probably really far-fetched. All right, I'm a little desperate for content. Maybe that's what it is. 877-3DP-SHOW, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle at DP Show. Daniel Jeremiah, great contributor to this program and the NFL Network. He's a former scout for the Ravens, Browns, and Eagles. And you can see him tonight covering the draft, ESPN, NFL Network, and ABC. That starts tonight at 8 Eastern. What is the craziest draft rumor you have heard so far, Daniel?
Oh, well, I'd heard this about a week ago. It actually ended up being true because Glazer came out and reported it, but was that Atlanta was trying like crazy to get up to number 2 to get Chase Young, which would have been so far to travel. I just couldn't conceive like what you would have to give up to go all the way up there. You're talking about several first-round picks, and would have been a heck of a move there. Obviously, I didn't think it make any sense for the Redskins to go back to 16, but that one was I admired Dimitrov. Hey, why not? Swing for the fences. Can't say no if you don't ask.
Well, I keep asking, why isn't anybody trying to go after that? You know, and maybe that second pick overall is so valuable and it's going to cost you so much draft capital that it's not worth going up. But if I said to you, I can guarantee Chase Young is a Pro Bowl defensive lineman, edge rusher for 10 years. Or I will guarantee that one of the quarterbacks other than Joe Burrow will be a Pro Bowl quarterback 3 of those 10 years. Who are you taking?
Oof. That's a tough one, Dan. I would actually still take the defensive end.
Oh, I would too. I mean,
10 years of elite production at the second most important position on the field.
Yeah, but it feels like we're willing to roll the dice on Tua with every. If I had another player at another position who I said he's had surgery on his ankles, he's had hip surgery, and maybe he broke his hand. But hey, are you willing to invest a top 5 draft pick? You wouldn't do that with anybody but a quarterback. Why?
Well, I just think it speaks to what everybody views as the importance of that position and the lottery ticket it is if you can be the team to keep this kid healthy. So, I mean, that to me is all that it is. It just comes down to the position that you play. And when you look at the teams that are historically picking up here, for the most part, they don't have the guy at that position. So a lot of these teams are picking up here multiple years, over a period of time, and they're willing to take that risk just to try and get themselves out of this group.
And I wonder if the draft is now starting at number 3 with the Lions. Are the Lions going to be able to get somebody who wants to come up there? And if so, what are they looking to get at the number 3 pick overall? If you can't get Chase Young and can't get Joe Burrow, what are you planning on getting at 3 that makes it worthwhile?
Well, the good news for the Lions is they could use help in a lot of different areas, Dan. So you get Derek Brown and Jeffrey Okudah seems to be what the choice comes down to. So I've had them with Okudah, and I think their thinking is, man, they would love to trade back to 5 or 6 because they're going to get, and both those guys will probably still be there. They'll have their choice plus get a little sugar. So I would think they're highly motivated to get out. The question is, what are the Dolphins or the Chargers going to do about moving up? I've got the sense for a while that I did not think the Chargers were going to move up. They were content to sit and wait and see what hand they're dealt there. They were comfortable with a couple different options. So then it comes down to the Dolphins. And I'd argue, look, if you're the Dolphins and you love one of these quarterbacks, I shouldn't use love. I got to stop doing that with quarterbacks because it confuses everybody this year. If they have a passion about either Tua or Herbert, and you have as much draft capital as they've amassed for this year and next year, I don't know why you wouldn't just guarantee that you get him, even if you think there's a slim chance the Chargers could leapfrog it. Don't you just get to 3? It won't cost you that much just to make sure that you get the guy that you really, really like.
Give me the team that's under the most pressure tonight or the entire draft.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that I would say the Dolphins. I mean, when you have 3 first-round picks, and this is a rumor that I don't get. Maybe you can explain this one to me. So the Dolphins trade an all-pro offensive tackle, and then they trade who's going to be an all-pro or who already is an all-pro free safety. So they trade these really talented position players so that they can get all these draft picks, so they can trade these draft picks to go up and get another offensive tackle they hope is going to be close to as good as the guy that they traded away. That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Well, it feels like these offensive tackles, there's going to be a run on offensive tackles. There's going to be a run on wide receivers. I don't think there'll be necessarily a run on quarterbacks because it'll be Burrow for sure, and then maybe it's either Tua or Herbert and Jordan Love a little bit later on. But it feels like there's going to be some pockets in this draft that are going to be a little slow, not too exciting there. And you're right. I don't understand the Dolphins' philosophy and what they want to do. But Tunsil was going to cost you an awful lot of money, and they didn't want to keep him. But as far as you want to trade up to get an offensive tackle instead of just – there's enough offensive tackles that could fall into your lap that you don't waste any of these other draft picks here. That's the only thing. Is there a big separation between these offensive tackles?
I think there's three that I really like. Andrew Thomas. Some teams are a little bit higher on him than I am, but he's going to be a starting tackle. Now, I went to Appalachian State, Dan, so I'm not great at math. But if you have the 5th pick, and we know Joe Burrow's going number 1, and we agree there are 4 really good offensive tackles in this draft, why are you trading up to get one?
And unless you say he's the next Anthony Munoz, then and we've seen, we were talking about this, Daniel. There have been a lot of offensive tackles taken who have been bust recently and taken high, because I think it's hard to handicap how an offensive tackle in college is going to be able to play the position, which you're playing a different position really in the way NFL blocking and the way college is. It's hard to go, that guy is going to be great in the NFL. Now, we've had some guys really good. It's hard to find great offensive linemen, or at least that you go, I'm going to spend a high draft pick on these guys. You could have an Eric Fisher here, or you could get, McGlinchey. Greg Robinson was really good. It feels like you can get a guard or a center and feel more confident than you can a tackle. Why is that?
Well, I think when you look at the way the college game's played with so many tunnel screens and bubble screens and spread you out, get the ball out, it kind of eliminates these guys having to really, really pass protect for an extended period of time, which is what you're asked to do at the NFL level. Now, 2 things I would say. Number one is the NFL is starting to incorporate more concepts like that to make that a little bit easier for these kids. And the other thing I would say is I think I think we're quick to give up on a lot of these guys. Like DJ Humphries is a great example. He's not a great player, Dan, but the Falcons just re-signed him and gave him a decent chunk of money because the DJ Humphries they saw in year 3 and year 4 was much better than the one they saw early on. I think there's a big adjustment period for most of these guys at tackle. Then when you're talking about interior guys, they get to play with neighbors. As a tackle, you only get one neighbor. You get 2 neighbors when you play inside.
Talking to Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network analyst here. If I told you could find out what one team is going to do tonight, which team would that be that you wanted to know?
Oh, it would be the Chargers. Because A, I work for them, and B, all my family and friends that grew up as fans of this team keep saying, "You work for the team. Who are they taking?" I'm like, I don't know. I talked to Telesco 3 times a week. He didn't tell me anything. I don't know who they're taking.
Who do you want them to take?
Well, to me, I just look at them and and I know we've talked about the risk with Tua, but going into this kind of new era, new building, I just think his personality, putting him in with this group, it would be a big shot in the arm to everybody. And then they've got to go about trying to get the offensive line fixed to protect him. But I think Tua with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Hunter Henry and Austin Eckler, he's a point guard. He's a distributor, and they have a nice collection of guys he could distribute the ball to.
I have doubts on Tua, not just the medical doubts. I mean, that alone, I wouldn't take him. But I understand if the Dolphins do it and they want to splash, if the Chargers do and they want to splash. Like, I get it. I really like the kid. But Chris Sims was killing Tua last night. I mean, he said, look, I like the kid. I'm just telling you, he's not a top 10 talent. We've been force-fed Tua. If Justin Herbert played at Alabama, would we look at Justin Herbert differently? What if Tua was at Utah State and Jordan Love was at Alabama? Like, we look at you in the system with the coach, with the results. You're playing in big games, national title games, like all of those things. But are we overinflating somebody without really knowing that we're doing that?
Well, I mean, I could take everything that you just said, and I could go back to the year Deshaun Watson came out, and I could put it in the exact same spot. Everybody said the same thing about him. He's playing. Look at all these NFL wide receivers he's playing with. He's in all these primetime games on big stages. There's a lot of guys. You can't penalize them for who they played with. I can just tell you the difference to me between Herbert and Tua is I think that Tua plays with much more urgency. He's much more decisive. He's much more aggressive. Now, and that's not something that changes whether you put on a different helmet or not. So that to me would be the difference between those two guys. Now, Justin Herbert's bigger, stronger, more athletic. I get all of that. He did not play with nearly the talent that Tua did. I told somebody the other day, I think Tua played with the best receiving core we've seen in college football since the Hurricanes in the early 2000s when they had Andre Johnson and Reggie Wayne and all those guys. I mean, it was unbelievable. But that doesn't change the fact that when I watch him, I see somebody that's very twitched up, very urgent, and plays aggressive, which are things I like.
Yeah, but he plays too aggressive, and he needs to understand to take a loss, throw it away. You know, Robert Griffin got into trouble in the pros. You try to take on these guys, extend a play, and that Nick Saban was on yesterday, and he talked about Tua's always trying to make the play, make the big play. That you can't do that in the pros because he's not fast.
I agree with that.
He's not fast.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. And somebody, I was actually talking to Pollock about this last night on the phone, and we were talking about his inability to protect himself. And I said, you know what? He's not nearly the athlete that Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson are, but he needs to watch a lot of their tape just to see how they protect themselves.
That's great.
And giving up 3 or 5 yards is not a big deal in the grand scheme of things here, man. Get down, protect yourself. There's ways even when you throw the football and you're getting heat to be able to fall away from the hit. I mean, people used to make fun of Eli Manning, but last I checked, Eli Manning played a lot of games without missing any for the way he threw the ball when he got under pressure.
It's like when people talk about pitching and throwing, I said, if you want to learn to pitch, watch Greg Maddux. You want to learn to throw, there's a lot of guys who can throw. You want to learn to play the quarterbacking position, I'd have him watch Russell Wilson because I think he's more like Russell Wilson than he is Drew Brees. I mean, Russ extends a play. Drew Brees is a pocket quarterback. He doesn't get out of the pocket. He doesn't extend. If you're watching Tua, he's extending. He runs. He needs to watch Russell Wilson and understand how to protect yourself because that would be the guy. I'd say, watch him, and you're similar size, and you can see the success that he's had.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's kind of the way I feel. It's just you've got to figure out a way to keep yourself on the field. I think when he stays on the field, I think he's pretty darn good. But that doesn't matter if you can't get out there. So that's the concern. I mean, you're holding your breath when you take him, and you're hoping that you get that kid on the field. But there's risk, no doubt about it. I don't disagree with that.
Daniel, goes back to the fear of taking him and the fear of not taking him. And when's the last time that we had a draft pick where we said that at that position, the fear of taking him and the fear of not taking him? What's greater?
Well, I mean, that's. I would say Johnny Manziel was that question, right? Now this is a totally different kid, and the makeup's totally different. But it was the way Manziel played stylistically was something we hadn't really seen, and it was a question of whether or not that would, that would translate. But I think that one was. There's teams that were like, man, I don't know, I don't think I can take him, but man, I hope he doesn't go in our division because they thought he had a chance to be really good.
Yeah.
But it's similar but yet different.
Yeah, I thought Johnny would be, if Jacksonville took him, that he would be a boost for that franchise, that it gave them personality. I didn't realize what his personality truly was, and that he just wasn't committed to playing the sport. But Tua, I do love. I get nervous about that. He's not a big kid. I mean, Herbert, if you said, he's got injuries, well, he's still a 6'6" kid. And he runs well. He's a better athlete than Tua is. He might not be a better quarterback. Jordan Love might be a better athlete. But there's a mystery with him. We love the mysteries, though, when you think about it, Daniel. It's like Jordan Love is intriguing because we don't know much about him.
No doubt. And to me, it's almost, we're trying to judge whether or not we have a good marriage without knowing who the partner is. So, when we find out who these
it's an arranged marriage here, Daniel. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
True.
Yeah, an arranged marriage.
But, I mean, it's like it goes back to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, you can't find a better marriage than that for him. If Jordan Love ended up with, Sean Payton or, one of these top offensive minds that had a chance to sit and learn and develop. What if he's with Frank Reich with the Colts and can sit behind Rivers for a year or 2 years? Like, that's unbelievable. He's got a great shot to be successful. He goes to the Miami Dolphins and they start him next year behind that offensive line. It's not going to go well.
Why did most people miss on Mahomes?
Well, I can just talk about my missing on him was because when you watched him, you saw unbelievable talent, but you saw him in an offense which was a bunch of screens and scrambles. That's basically what they were doing at Texas Tech. And then it was so freewheeling and so different from anything he was going to be asked to do at the next level. That was difficult. And then the other thing I would say is I got a chance to visit with him the week of the draft for the first time. He came into our studio at NFL Network, and I asked him about specific plays, like TCU, Patrick, third down, you're down in the red zone, fourth quarter, kind of like what you've heard Sean McVay do when people ask him about specific plays. And he would tell me the play call, the read, what happened on the play, what that led them to do later on in the game. Like, his recall and his intelligence was off the charts. And I think the teams that got a chance to visit with him said, okay, this kid's got all this natural talent. I know we need to work on the footwork. I know there's a lot of things that need to happen going forward, but this kid is incredibly bright and he loves football. So when you put that kind of stew together, that was the magic.
But if you could have, you could work him out, physically work somebody out, or you could just interview him. Like, what would be more valuable? You could only pick one, but you could actually work him out, or you could do what you just did by saying, hey, give me the TCU play, the call, everything you saw in the play. Like, what's going to tell you more?
I can watch the tape and figure out the other stuff. To me, it's more valuable to sit down and visit with the kid.
Yeah.
I think that was what made that kid so unbelievable. Is he gets? I mean, we talk about his arm, we talk about his athleticism. That dude is smart, man.
I said this to the Danettes. There'd be Mondays where I'd come in, or there'd be Sundays or Saturdays where I'd be texting them, and I'd just say, turn on Texas. I'd give them the channel, and they knew that I was watching Texas. Because I said, I don't know if he can play in the NFL, but damn, is he fun. And it looked like he was drawing up plays in the dirt and just saying, you go over here and you go over here. Hey, give me about 3 seconds. I'll be able to make something happen here. I didn't know it would translate anywhere near what it is. Deshaun Watson, I thought, was his star. I was shocked that he was falling. Mahomes, I just saw maybe the embryonic stages of somebody who was trying to be Brett Favre. And he may turn out to be better.
Yeah, he is unbelievable. If you could get a mulligan on one draft grade, I would submit my card for that one.
Have fun tonight, and I'll try not to text you too much, okay?
Oh, Dan, I mean, if we have breaks in the Wi-Fi or something goes hairy, I need some text messages. I need some encouragement here.
All right, I'll be your audience. I'll try to puff you up a little bit there. Have fun, though. It's always great to talk to you, Daniel.
I appreciate you, Dan. Thanks.
That's Daniel Jeremiah. He'll be working the draft for the NFL Network. When we come back, I have to have an answer for the following. The Bengals will select and keep. Justin Herbert will be drafted by. Tua will be drafted by. Jordan Love will be drafted by. Sure that these will come back to haunt me tomorrow. It's 23 after the hour. Phone calls coming up as well here on the Dan Patrick Show. You're checking things all the time. You check out how you look in the mirror. You're checking out your email, your Instagram, text messages. Discover says, do something important, check your credit. And you can do it, and best of all, it's free. Discover's now offering FICO credit scores. That's the score used by 90% of top lenders, and you can do that for free, even if you're not a customer. Checking out your score won't hurt your credit. You can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard. Free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. I got your draft profile. You excited about reading this?
Yeah.
I took out all the good stuff.
Why?
Well, because
the actual good stuff, not the good bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this is just bad stuff.
Good.
All right. So you get to read it.
Thank you. Are we popcorn on this going down or just me?
By the way, Drew Brees read his a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And he said, "Can I keep this?
I
I'm
wanna
going to
keep
use
this
this
for
as
sure, yeah.
motivation."
Yeah.
Okay. This is actual comments made by Scout's draft profile, Aaron Rodgers.
Gets sacked a lot, doesn't have ability to change the release of the football, mechanically very rigid. He's a little too short. Jeff Tedford, coach quarterbacks, never pan out. Too well-schooled, very robotic, don't become good pro players. Rodgers is the same mold. System quarterback, can't create on his own.
Ouch.
Panics under pressure, gets flustered easily.
Wow. What bothers you the most from that profile?
A lot of it. I just know it's more that the funnier things are too well schooled, like you can be too prepared.
Is that a bad thing?
I guess. Very robotic.
Now, Paulie's got the names of all the people who said these things.
I give them to you later.
Are you interested in one in particular? And Paulie can give you the name of the scout.
It's probably all unnamed people.
Paulie, you got names attached to this?
I'm going to write them up. You can put them in your pocket on the way out. Protecting sources.
I need some more motivation. So.
Do you manufacture motivation?
You have to do a little bit, I think. But it changes, I think, after a while from kind of that chip on your shoulder to prove everybody wrong to challenge yourself to play at a high level every year, which is a hell of a challenge the older you get.
By the way, Aaron just put that draft profile in his pocket, just letting people know. Yeah. Do you put that in your locker now? Maybe
I'm
frame
hold on
it.
to that.
Yeah.
Check it out.
He just hit the shot to beat the Utah Jazz. It is the perfect way to go out. His career is over. He's going into business, retirement, whatever he's going to do with his life. And he comes in, and Jordan doesn't have any shoes. His shoes are off. After every time they won a championship, Tim Halloran, who was the head of PR for the Bulls, would always take Jordan's shoes, and he would keep them. I think he has Jordan's shoes from all the championships. So Michael would come in his socks. His jersey would be untucked, full of champagne, and he always had a Cuban cigar and a big smile on his face. So he's walking in, which I believe is going to be for the last time he'll ever do something like this. He's won a championship, hit the last-second shot, just crushed the Utah Jazz, ripped their heart out. And he comes in. And Phil Jackson is already in there, ready to go on. And Phil is sitting off to my right. And we're in a commercial break, and Michael comes in. And Michael says to Phil, "You're going to be around doing this. I'm not." So he's asking Coach if he can go first to do the interview. So he sits down. We do the interview. He loved being challenged. He loved when you had some fun with him. He was competitive that way. He gets up, and we go to commercial break. Phil Jackson gets up, getting ready to sit down. And then I said, "Hey, it's a shame you're retiring, man, because I wanted a piece of you." And he turns. So he's got the basketball, the game ball with him, a cigar. And he said, how would you guard me, MFer? And I got my suit and tie on. We're during commercial break. Phil Jackson's walking over, sitting down. I go, come here. Let me see how you would guard me, MFer. I went, okay. And so I put my forearm in the middle of his back. And he goes, "Is that all you got?" And he gave me this look that I've yeah. And he just laughed. He said, "You're lucky. I'm retiring." And then he walked out the door. So this is 15 minutes after the game, and he just won his championship. And all of a sudden, he's staring me down, giving me grief about how I'm going to guard him. But it was funny. I'm putting my forearm in the middle of his back, that's going to do it. No one's ever thought about doing that. I should have just grabbed a hold of his shorts. I'd have had a better opportunity. Chris Sims will join us on the program tomorrow. We'll let him explain why he would not take Tua Tagovailoa. Didn't even think he was a top 10 talent before all the injuries. Jesse Palmer from the Mothership will stop by, and the former USC quarterback, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez will stop by as well. I saw where Tom Brady thought he was going into the home of his offensive coordinator in Tampa. According to TMZ, and his offensive coordinator is Byron Leftwich. According to TMZ, on April 7th, Brady had planned to visit Byron Leftwich's home, walked into the home next door without knocking. He came face to face with the homeowner and realized that he was in the wrong home. You're not Byron Leftwich. No, I'm not. Yes, Paul.
Hey, Tom.
If I were Tom, I would have played off by saying, "Hey, I just want to welcome, introduce myself. I'm the new quarterback. Season tickets are for sale. I'm going door to door, and good luck. Go Bucks."
Oh, man. That's good. Eric in California joins us. Eric, what's on your mind today?
Morning, Dan. It's Eric calling from Redding, California. First time, long time, 5'11" and shrinking. Pillsbury 215. So I did need to weigh in on the. Actually, I'm providing an exclusive scoop that should have gone to my friend Rich Eisen.
Oh.
So unfortunately, Rich was unavailable. However, with the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, the winner of that match, and I hope you guys are ready for this, is going to have to take on Tony Romo and Natalie Gibbs.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Is it Natalie Golbis or Natalie Gibbs? Because I'm not familiar with Natalie Gibbs. Can you check that for me?
Excuse me.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Cynthia Gibbs, on the other hand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Young blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, young blood.
All
All
right.
timer.
All right, here we go.
Never forget.
The Bengals will select and keep Joe Burrow. I don't have any doubts. Bengals will take him, and they will keep him. Justin Herbert will be drafted by the Chargers. Tua Tagovailoa will be drafted by the Dolphins. Jordan Love will be drafted by the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, saucy.
Not first round pick. Anybody else? McLevin, what do you think?
I'm lockstep and sync with you. Herbert to the Chargers, Jordan Love to the Bucks at 45 or the Colts at 44.
Oh, okay.
Tua to the Dolphins at 26 or the Saints at 24. Just because you've talked me out of Tua. How could you have him going so high?
I didn't talk you out of it. Chris Sims talked me out of it, and then I talked you out of it.
Yeah, I think if he falls in that Patriots Saints, I don't think the Patriots will take him, but he could go in the 20s. There's a lot of like mock drafters are saying now.
Yeah. Yeah, Seton.
If the injuries are bad.
Yes, Seton.
How about Herbert going before Tua and also to the Dolphins?
Yeah. Well, it feels like it's either or with those two guys. If I said that Tua is going to be in the top 6, or you got the rest of the draft. Everybody believed that he's going to be a top 6 pick. Yeah, McLevin.
No, because of the injuries and
Yeah.
the fact that he can't go to the buildings to talk to doctors. That's the only. But I've also read, is there a potential for a slide where there's no need after 6? People have been saying that,
Yeah,
writing that.
Yes, but I go back to what my source said. He thought Tua could go 3 or 23. And you're going to have these teams that are going to pass on him. I mean, you'll pass on him because do you want to use, if you're Carolina, do you want to use your first-round pick on Tua when you just brought in Teddy Bridgewater? Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville, I get. Because you didn't spend anything for Gardner Minshew. And if you can have Gardner Minshew play and then have Tua come in and compete for the job, give him a year to sit out, I understand that. The Raiders, does he fit their system? You already have 2 quarterbacks. Probably not. You know, the Saints have Taysom Hill, quarterback in waiting. Would they then take, Tua if he was there? Would the Patriots take? I don't know. I think there's a very real chance that he starts to slip if he doesn't go to the Chargers. Yeah, McLevin.
Why'd you say Jordan Love second round?
Well, no, I don't know when he's going to be taken. But I wouldn't use that first-round draft pick on him. I just think if they could get Jalen Hurts, I would take Jalen Hurts. If I'm a team and I can get him a second or third round, Jalen Hurts to me is fascinating. He really, really intrigues me. Out of all the quarterbacks, just the mystery surrounding him. Because I like him. I think how he handled Alabama was classy. Went to Oklahoma, played extremely well. And that would be somebody I'd look at and go, let me take a chance on him as a third-round pick, second-round pick maybe. Yeah, Todd.
Jordan Love going to the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, just because you got Taysom Hill there, and I know he's 30, but I just don't know if that would, and maybe you have 3 guys on the roster, I don't know, at that position, because Taysom Hill is sort of that Swiss Army knife there, but I don't know. I don't see it that way. Yeah, McLevin.
Yeah, I can't. Taysom Hill's 30 already.
Yeah, I think he is 30. Yeah.
Yeah, but what about Jordan Love there too? Has been talked about, and also if Tua, how about Tua there? If they trade up a little bit as a project.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We could have speculation about the entire first round, and it's kind of silly. Yeah, Paulie.
I'll go Burrow to the Bengals, Herbert to the Chargers. Tua, I think, is going to go to Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville will trade up a couple spots and get him. Jordan Love, Vegas with their second pick of the first round will take Jordan Love. Saucy.
Okay. Well, they just brought in Mariota and you got Carr, although I think those are Band-Aid quarterbacks right now, it feels like, with John Gruden. So I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure with what John Gruden would do. Reggie in Mississippi joins us. Hey, Reg, what do you have for me?
Morning, Dan.
Morning.
Dan. Listen, I just wanted to get this to your attention. Your name was brought up last night in an episode of Brockmire, where he was, Hank Azaria Brockmire was looking for somebody to introduce him at the Baseball Hall of Fame. It was a pretty hilarious episode last night, so I thought I'd call in. Thanks for
All right, well,
taking my
thank
call.
you, Reg. Did you know this, Paulie?
I had heard this. It's tough to quote. He said, screw Dan Patrick. He once defecated in the van I owned. He didn't use the word defecate. So you're a reference on Brockmire in a funny way.
Maybe he's talking about the lieutenant governor of Texas and not me.
He was talking about you.
Oh, he was.
But you
No.
didn't do that.
No, I did not.
Okay. Then don't worry about it.
No. In Hank Azaria's van, but not Brockmire's. I'm Brockmire. Jonathan in Arizona joining us. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
5'10", 165.
All right.
All right, so I have a foolproof, unequivocal, surefire way for the commissioner to get applause tonight from all NFL fans.
Okay.
To announce at the end of the draft his resignation.
Okay. That was a little mean-spirited there, Jonathan. Thank you, though. No, I just thought if he comes out and his wife and his two daughters boo him, it might. Then you take it away. You take the weapon away. Like, hey, I get it. You're going to boo me, and that's what they always do. They boo the commissioner. It'd be funny. I don't know if the commissioner is, trying to provide levity. They're already providing us an outlet for us to watch. We get 4 hours where we can escape watching TV. I don't know if he has to be a stand-up comedian. All right. So we got the guest list for tomorrow. We'll come back. Last call for phone calls. What we learned on the program. And anything. Oh, this day in sports history. Have all of that coming up for you here on the Dan Patrick Show. Did you almost retire as the host?
No. No, I still love what I do, and I still have that passion. I almost said my passion bucket is still full.
And by the way, you did give a shout out passion bucket.
I didn't almost retire. Why? What have you heard?
Well, no, because they did sort of a retrospective.
I know.
And then I thought
I got a lot of calls. So we did this big premiere this year. Mainly, it was to get out of the way of the national championship game. ABC's like, look, just fill the time. But we were shooting in Dallas. They had my mom, and then I thought they were just going to pull up some embarrassing photos and maybe a video or something. And they showed this amazingly touching retrospective video and I thought, I'm either A, dying, or B, I'm fired or retiring. So I haven't heard the latest, but I think I'm still around.
All right.
My mom won't tell me.
If you lose that job, what's the ideal sports job you'd like?
I think it would be golf. It would be the 18th tower. I'll knock Jim Nantz off, take his job.
Do you think you could take Nantz?
I can say hello, friends.
All right. All right.
No, it's. I would think I would love going back to sportscasting. Would be doing play-by-play somewhere. Football. My goal in life was to be the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I ever wanted to do was move back home to Dallas, be a sportscaster, be the voice of the Cowboys. But I think now golf.
Didn't you sneak into a Cowboys Super Bowl?
Super Bowl 30.
How'd you do that?
My late boss, mentor, Bill Tegans, and we had press passes, but back then, the main guy would get an actual ticket to go in and watch the game, and I was going to go to an auxiliary tent. and we're in Tempe at Arizona, and Cowboys Steelers, and I just started walking with him. He said, well, walk with me as far as you can, then you'll have to go to the tent and I'll go in. And back then, pre 9/11, all that stuff, a lot less security. I realized I was pretty much in the arena minus this one little guardrail, and there was a space in it. And so I just looked around, and they really hadn't set up security yet. And he was walking, he was talking, and I just took a beeline. And I walked into the stadium. I was kind of already in there.
Just act like you know where you're going.
Exactly. And I walked into a bathroom, and they were already letting people into the stadium. Took off my press pass, took off everything else, and I just walked out like and I found a seat. And I got really lucky because I thought I was sitting in his seat, and I was sitting in, it was like PR wives of, all the PR directors for all the teams. It was their wives section, and they kind of adopted me and took me in. I was younger and better looking at the time, and they kind of adopted me, and I fit into this section, and I watched the Cowboys beat the Steelers.
Now, just so you know, these aren't ours. These were actual scouts who wrote this about you.
Okay.
So right before the draft, read your profile, J.J. Watt profile.
These are long. Okay. Won't consistently get the edge on tackles with his get off or quickness.
Whoops.
That means I'm slow. Plays high at times, can be blown off the ball by a double team, but does fight hard to hold his ground. I do fight hard to hold my ground.
Okay,
man.
all right. That's all right.
Lacks
That's
some
a
lateral,
backhanded comment.
Yeah, lacks some lateral mobility, both rushing the passer and playing in space.
Read the one on the bottom.
His recognition skills leave something to be desired.
I think they just called you dumb is what they did. That's mean.
That's a knock on the old noggin. He flashes good hand usage at times, but needs to get stronger at the point of it. Do I need to get stronger?
Oh, my God. Seton?
Do I need to get stronger?
Does JJ need to get stronger?
No. I'm entering the concussion protocol as we speak here, so I might have to sit out the rest of this.
We're gonna get the unaffiliated person in here. He needs to gain some more weight to fill out and to continue to learn how to use his hands effectively. Can you imagine what I could do if I learned how to use my hands effectively?
Wow.
He won't ever be a stud pass rusher.
That was real.
I only wish I could be one. I only wish. But he could still stand to learn some pass rush moves beyond his bull rush and occasional swim to the inside if a tackle opens his. Who wrote this?
Paulie, do you know who wrote about he'll never be a good?
Do you want me to bring him out if he was in the bag?
Who wrote this? That would be fantastic.
I'll get the name for you.
I could learn. I need to learn.
Yeah.
I need to learn some things, Dan.
But the perception in reality, though, with the draft and trying to prove yourself,
right?
Was there a stereotype going in of you? Like,
oh, yeah. You know the stereotype. Everybody here knows the stereotype.
So you were high motor.
I was a high motor guy. I was
works hard.
Gym rat.
Yeah.
Works hard. Student of the game.
Oh.
Not overly athletic, but will grind it out. That's just the way it goes. And I can understand why people talk like that because you got hundreds and hundreds of prospects you have to talk about and people want to read about. But at the end of the day, you can't peg every single guy and try and act like you know what he's going to be or how he's going to be.
Jeff in New Hampshire sent an email. Instead of his own family booing him, the commissioner could start with a Kevin from the Office chili opening. Make some people laugh. Oh, is that still one of my favorite episodes of The Office, where Kevin with his famous chili, and he's got this huge pot, and he brings it into the office, and he spills it. He starts to try to clean it up. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, boy. Finally, Major League Baseball got around to spanking the 2018 Red Sox. They suspended a replay system official for a year, and then they docked them a second-round pick for using video to steal signs. Now, keep in mind, they already suspended their former manager, Alex Cora, for a year, but they say that's because of his role with the Astros. And baseball has a funny history with punishment. You know, when you think about steroids, the more testing and investigations they did, the more guys they caught. The effort to clean up the sport actually made it look even dirtier in the short term. These commissioners don't want to find the guys who are guilty. They would hope that they don't find somebody. But for baseball, it was worth it with steroids. I wonder if the same thing will hold true with the sign stealing. We know about the Astros, or at least we know a lot about the Astros. And now the Red Sox, you get the feeling Major League Baseball, if they really wanted to dig, you might find some other players, parties who were guilty, and other teams as well. Oh, I'm going to guess you would find other teams that have done this before. Hopefully the penalties, the embarrassment are enough to deter a team from stop using video to steal signs. We'll see. They'll find new ways to cheat. This is just a temporary blip there, it feels like. But when you're going to suspend one guy, all of this with the Red Sox. Now, we were waiting. Did they cheat or not? So it's one guy, and it's the video guy? And who benefited from sealing said signs here? I mean, that's what I'm curious about. Did he steal the sign just for himself? Did he relay this to somebody? Who benefited from this? Where's the garbage cans in here? I'm confused. Feels like all of that, because we were waiting when I go, oh, boy, they're going to drop the hammer on the Red Sox, too. All right. I don't know if people are upset about this anymore. And we kept waiting. Oh, my gosh, this when the Red Sox get it, and who else is going to be brought down? And you got a video operator who was brought down. Crazy. A couple of phone calls. Tilly in Ohio. Hey, Till.
Oh, well, I didn't move to Ohio, but we could throw me back in Bloomington.
Yeah, I was going to say, you moved. A strange time for you to move, Till. So, Tilly in Bloomington.
You know, being an essential employee and all, still out and about selling beer, maybe I should just sell some in Ohio as well. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I think the confusion came because I wanted to call in your boy, Tom, the prognosticator in Ohio.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out, Tom, if you get this right, I'm willing to send you some beer via me. So, Dan, if he gets it right, if he can give you his address, or
Okay.
Tom, if you look me up on the Twitter, send me a message with your address, I will hook him up if he gets this right, man. That would be an amazing accomplishment.
Are you selling more beer now?
The liquor stores and grocery stores are killing it. Obviously, restaurants and bars aren't because they're closed, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's keeping me on my toes. I will not lie. There's a lot going on right now, and I'll be interested to see what the liver transplant list is like in about a year from now with some people out there.
Thank you, Tilly, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. If that happens, that Tom in Ohio pulls off one of the great pre-draft trade proposals in history. Yes, McLevin.
Seaton's point is great. Tom almost whispered it to you because he doesn't want to get caught with this inside information.
Feels like he might have been in the house or the building with the person and was in another room and then giving us this exclusive.
Like it called a whistleblower line or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
just saying.
I have to get this information out.
Source close to a source.
Consequences be damned.
Yeah. George in Arizona. Hi, George. What do you have for me today?
Doing, Dan?
Great,
6 foot 160. All right. It's a crazy thought, but with all the injuries and the inability to get and really get into these guys, I think Tua is going to drop, and he will drop to the Patriots.
Well, I don't know if he'll drop that far. They might go up and make a trade with the 49ers. 49ers want to move out of the first round. Somebody's going to go up and maybe grab some of these draft picks, these teams that want to get out of the first round. I thought the Niners would be taking a wide receiver. You got that pick from the Colts, and are you going to use it on another wide receiver there? I also had a source who said, you mentioned the possibility of the Kansas City Chiefs trading up to take Henry Ruggs out of Alabama, fastest guy in the draft. And he said, you only have so many go patterns in your offense, in your repertoire. You don't need to take Henry Ruggs. That doesn't make any sense. He's fast, but you need to, if you're going to take a wide receiver, you would take a guy who is more along the lines of Mike Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, where they're not going to beat you deep as much as they beat you. It's like it depends on your torture. You want water torture or you want the guillotine? The water torture is the guy that just keeps pounding you down the field. That Henry Ruggs is going to stretch the field. How many? You already got Tyreek Hill. And then you got the other sprinter as well, McLevin.
Hardman?
Hardman, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were saying Ruggs is not. I said CeeDee Lamb to me looks like the best wide receiver, but that's because he didn't have other weapons like Alabama had. Alabama's got 2 first-round picks this year, and they may have 1 or 2 first-round picks at that position next year. CeeDee Lamb, to me, I thought what he did, it felt like he could make something out of nothing, and I like him a lot. This day in sports history, what do you have for me, Paulie?
Fritzy already got Hank Aaron's first ever home run, so I'm going to go this day in sports movie history. One of the great baseball movies of all time was released 1989, April 21st, 1989, so this week. Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner was released. Fast forward about 30 so years later, Kevin Costner is on the Dan Patrick Show, and this happened. I watched Field of Dreams just again the other day. Everyone loves that movie. It's got a lot of legs. It's going to be around forever. But I was wondering, when you're getting pitched Field of Dreams, when they're pitching you're at your peak of stardom. Do you ever think this could be really silly?
What, do you think I peaked? What are you talking
No,
about?
but like you were.
No, we can't do that.
Kevin Costner F on me.
I know.
You think I peaked?
How do we not have a shirt? You think I effing peaked?
Oh my God. Well, if Brady had said that, then we would have it. But it's just Kevin Costner.
Costner wouldn't sue us.
Yeah, Costner would let us make those T-shirts. Yes, Paul.
The best part was once he realized what he said, and he actually went back and said, "All right, I'm gonna answer your question here," and kind of give me that look like, "Watch it, partner."
Well, what was worse, Costner doing that to you, or Joe Montana turning on McLevin when he referred to him as a system quarterback?
When you told Joe Montana that I had called him that before,
but
so we're clear
did.
about your role in this.
But did you call him a system quarterback?
Well, yeah.
You didn't say, whatever you do, don't say this to Joe Montana.
Yeah, you did the same thing to Emmitt Smith, too, who also did not like that. But I mean, Emmitt, come on, that line was crazy in Dallas.
When he said, I have 4 system Super Bowl rings?
Yeah.
That was great. That was scoreboard.
I'd never seen him mad until that moment. I'd never seen Kevin Costner mad until Paulie said that either.
Oh, man. Yeah, he turned on you. Any other this day in sports histories?
That's it.
That's it. Well, we had Troy Aikman being drafted on this day, right, Todd?
We did.
All right.
31 years ago.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played his last regular season game for the Lakers on this date.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah. Seton, you got something for me?
Today's a wacky one.
It is.
I can't wait to see what happens with Tom in Ohio.
Oh, man, if that would happen. Yeah, I'm sort of drunk on the draft here. Like, I just woozy. Like, I got to step away from the bar here, the draft bar. Yeah, McLevin.
Are we going to get any interesting 3 p.m. texts today as a group? Should I keep my phone on high alert?
What,
from you?
From me?
Yeah, you all last year. Last couple of years, you've thrown some things out in the afternoon.
Oh, that's right.
Around 4 p.m.
Yes, that's usually when everybody's done their jobs. The people I talk to, when they've done their jobs, and they sort of take their breather. And then sometimes I'll get somebody who will download me on something or keep an eye on this. Hey, you know what's being talked about? Those kind of things. Those are always fun. And then I always send them to you guys. All right. So Chris Sims tomorrow, Jesse Palmer, and Mark Sanchez on the program. Go around the room. What we learned. Todd, start with you.
You would grab Jalen Hurts if you had the opportunity to do so.
And McLevin?
There's a movement to have his name is Tom in Ohio shirts.
If he gets this trade right, then he will get one. Yes, Seton.
It was the birth of a legend today.
Tom in Ohio. Paulie?
Chase is a great name for a guy who goes after quarterbacks for a living.
Yeah, it's like a commissioner whose last name is Stern. What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. Makes it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the festivities. Talk to you tomorrow.